pirates, summon the heroic spirit drake at the beginning. Author, like the wind. Page 451. Penthesilea frowned. Don't you also want to say that you want this belt? As he spoke, Penthesilea began to emit obvious anger. Oh no. Xian shook his head. I just think this belt is very suitable for you, Penthesilea. You are very heroic when you wear it. Yeah, that's right. Hee, master, you still have good eyesight. Penthesilea split the corners of her mouth, said happily. I am very pleased to allow you to make a request to me. Tell me, as long as I can do it, I can help you. That's it. Then, if you have time, can you teach me how to use the hammer? Xian used projection magic to project the same hammer as Penthesilea just now. To be honest, I think this weapon is very powerful. I feel that as long as I get it in my hand, I can give the enemy a great shock. Xian said with a smile. All the time, the weapons I use are slender, and I am really interested when I suddenly encounter such a rough weapon. Hey, is the master interested in my martial arts? Very good. You are worthy of being a warrior. I recognize. Penthesilea smiled and patted Xian's shoulder. His action was extraordinarily heroic. Since you are interested, I am willing to teach you, but our Amazon training method is very hard. You have to be mentally prepared. Don't worry, although I don't know what Amazon's training is like, I don't think it will trouble me, Xian said confidently. No matter how hard Amazon's training is, it's definitely not as good as Scathach's training method. After undergoing Scathach's training, other training methods are definitely not a problem. Xian screamed in his heart. Presumably the master has experienced particularly severe training, so he is so confident. Penthesilea got up, stood on the ground with her bare feet, and looked at Xian with a smile on her face. Since this is the case, let's try it out now. Alright, Penthesilea, let's go here first this time. Xian scattered the hammer in his hand and said with a smile, I really want to see what kind of training you have experienced before, and you can perform so easily in my training. Penthesilea retracted her weapon and said in surprise, the future is long, and you will know in the future. Xian looked at the sky. It's almost time, and it's time for us to leave this island. There are still many adventures waiting for us on the sea. Come on, Penthesilea, I will take you to meet the other companions. Xian turned around and said to Penthesilea behind him. Penthesilea nodded and followed Xian's footsteps. On the other hand, Robin and Murasaki Shikibu, who are now leaving, have also brought the news to other partners that they are about to leave Murloc Island. At this moment, everyone has gathered on the Golden Deer and is preparing to set off. Empress Hancock also came to the side of the Golden Deer early after she learned that their Drake pirates were about to set off again, waiting for Xian to fulfill her promise and sail with her. Not only Hancock, but also members of the royal family of Dragon Palace City came to the coast early after hearing the news, preparing to see Xian and others off, and brought a lot of special products from Fishman Island by the way. In this regard, Yuan Laguang was also very happy to accept it, and prepared to use these special products to prepare novel dishes for Xian. Boss Xiali, Your Excellency Xian is about to leave Fishman Island, why don't you go and have a look? Keith, an employee of the Mermaid Cafe, jumped in front of Charlie and said, I think you want to see them off. Xiali shook her head. Forget it. Anyway, there are no guests now, so you can go if you want. Yay, Boss Charlie is the best. Great, let's go see Your Excellency Xian. That's right. The Drake pirates have left this time, and I don't know when they will come to our Murloc Island again. Stop talking, it will be too late. Come with me quickly. Page 452. What a bunch of impatient little girls. Xiali looked at the shop assistants rushing to the coffee shop, and said helplessly, Xian, what kind of changes will you bring to this world? After all the clerks left, Xiali couldn't help but sigh when she thought about what the Drake pirates did when they set sail. Look at it for a while, it should be all right. After hesitating for a while, Xiali put down the pipe in her hand, and took out a blue crystal ball from under the counter. Xiali solemnly placed the crystal ball on the table, and then gently stroked the crystal ball with both hands. Let me see what your future holds, Xian. Following Xiali's words, the crystal ball began to emit a faint light, and a series of future scenes began to flash across Xiali's mind. This is. Charlie looked at the pictures of the future in surprise. The Murlocs laugh happily on land. What are those wonderful things? The picture in Xiali's mind flashed quickly, and the displayed area was very wide. In the picture, there are pictures of 4 seas. Although they are different sea areas, the same thing is that there are many things that Xiali doesn't know about in the picture. And the final thing is that the people in each sea area are all smiling so happy. What caught Xiali's attention the most was that the same flag was planted everywhere. That's Blue Star's flag. Just when Xiali was surprised, a picture about Xian suddenly appeared in Xiali's mind. Although it was just a back view, Xiali was very sure that it was Xian. After seeing Xian's picture, Xiali wanted to see it more clearly, but at this moment, the crystal ball placed in front of Xiali suddenly shattered and scattered on the table. This future. Charlie covered herself. There were faint tears in his eyes. For the first time in divination, nothing bad happened. That Xian, will it be given to this world? Looking at the shattered crystal ball, Xiali was not happy because she saw a bright future through divination for the first time. No, you can't just let them leave like this. Xiali raised her head, her gaze was firm. She quickly rushed out of the Mermaid Cafe's gate, and rushed towards the port of Fishman Island. Big brother, come to Fishman Island to play with me in the future. Below the Golden Deer, Bbook waved to Ziyan tearfully. Don't worry, Fishman Island is so beautiful, I will definitely return it in the future. Ziyan smiled hugely. Bbook must be obedient. White Star nodded vigorously. Ziyan smiled, and looked under the Golden Deer, behind a stone statue. Hancock, how long do you have to wait? We are leaving now. Yes, Master Ziyan. Hancock ran out from behind the stone statue, blushing and said, can I really come up? At this time, what are you still talking about? The corners of Ziyan's mouth curled up. Hurry up. Yes. Hancock shouted excitedly, quickly walked under the Golden Deer, then jumped with both feet, and landed on the Golden Deer next to Ziyan. Lord Ziyan. Hancock looked at Ziyan excitedly. Ziyan nodded to Hancock, then turned to look at the other members of the 9 Snake Pirates. Under the boat, hurry up and go back to Amazon Lily, maybe we will visit your country soon. Then that. Hancock whispered, it's not our country, but Master Ziyan and my country. Speak out. Hancock turned round, covering his flushed face with his hands. Is this the Amazon of the world? It's too disappointing. Penthesilea frowned watching Hancock's performance. Page 453. Penthesilea originally had a good impression of Hancock's country because it had a similar name to his own country, but seeing Hancock's current appearance, he immediately liked it. It dissipated. Okay, Drake, let's set sail. Ziyan looked at Drake and said. Drake nodded. So, let's go to the next island. Following Drake's words, the Golden Deer began to rise slowly and slowly left the ground. Wait. At this moment, Ziyan's familiar voice came over. Charlie. Turning his head back, Ziyan looked at Xiali who was rushing this way in a strange way. What is she doing here? Xiali took a deep breath, looked up at Ziyan. Ziyan, last time you said that you wanted a mermaid on board, is this still true? Oh. Boss Charlie, what do you mean? Although I don't know why Xiali said that suddenly, but Ziyan's interest has indeed been raised. If you can, let me also go on board. Although I'm not capable of fighting, I'm willing to cook coffee for everyone on the ship, and I'm willing to cook the dishes of our mermaid cafe for everyone to eat. I hope you can take me away with you. Charlie said loudly. Boss Charlie. The employees of the nearby mermaid cafe looked at their boss in surprise, wondering why she suddenly wanted to board Ziyan's boat. Can you tell me why? You were not interested in it before. Ziyan said. Xiali looked directly at Ziyan. I want to go and see, to see how their world where everyone can laugh and laugh is formed. Have you seen the future? Hearing Xiali's words, Ziyan first thought of Xiali's ability, and couldn't help but think silently in his heart. Well, if you come, just help us open a coffee shop for everyone to rest and entertain. Ziyan nodded with a smile, and gently raised his right hand towards Xiali. The slightly green light gently dragged Xiali towards the Golden Deer. Thank you. I will work hard, Boss Ziyan. Xiali looked down at Ziyan, and said with a smile on her face. In addition, Captain Drake and others, please give me your advice. Charlie turned to look at the crowd. Welcome. Drake laughed and said, it's an honor for me to have a mermaid on my boat. Mermaid, it seems worth painting. Wrong, who had dark circles under his eyes, said. The others also responded with kind smiles to Xiali's arrival. Only Hancock, who had just arrived on the Golden Deer, felt a sense of crisis in his heart. Case, the mermaid cafe will be taken care of by you. Xiali turned to look at Xiali below the Golden Deer. Don't mess up the signboard of their mermaid cafe. Boss Xiali is so cunning that she was able to board Lord Ziyan's boat. Case looked dissatisfied, but then quickly waved his hand at Xiali. Boss Xiali, you must take care of yourself outside the coffee shop. We will take good care of you. When you come back, be sure to tell us the story of the voyage. Not only Case, but other clerks at the mermaid cafe also waved their hands at Xiali. Xiali smiled and waved goodbye to her shop assistants. The cloudless sky, the dazzling sun shining on the sea, the scorching heat and the comfortable environment of Murloc Island formed a stark contrast. After protruding from the sea and surfacing, everyone on the Golden Deer entered the room one after another facing the weather. And in the newly opened coffee shop on the Golden Deer, Robin and Sishibu are holding a book, each watching quietly, and in front of them is the coffee specially ground by Charlie for them. How about it, Murasaki Shikibu? Although it's good to stay in the library and study all the time, but it's also a good choice to come to the coffee shop once in a while. Page 454. Robin raised his head and said to Murasaki Shikibu who was sitting opposite him. Well, it's very good. Drinking a cup of coffee can also refresh you. Murasaki Shikibu nodded. However, you still can't close the library. You really like libraries? Robin sighed. Is this the newly opened cafe on the ship? Arong walked in from the door with a tired face. Boss Charlie, bring me a cup of super strong coffee. Arong sat down on the bench in front of the counter, and said to Xiali, please wait. Xiali replied, then turned around and got busy. You seem very tired. What happened, Arong? Robin came to Arong and said, isn't it because of the swimsuit photos and comics that Ziyun asked me to draw? Arong lay on the bar, complaining. Anyway, it's too weird to ask myself to draw a picture of myself in a swimsuit and then show it to others. Isn't this normal? Robin raised the corners of his mouth and said casually, are you serious? Arong stared at Robin with wide eyes. Isn't this a very embarrassing thing? It's normal for you to come here. However, it's normal to show your swimsuit photos to the people you like. Robin took a sip of coffee. What's more, you are Ziyun's fiancé. What fiancé? Arong covered his head. That was obviously agreed by the father without permission, and he didn't ask for my opinion at all. But you didn't object at all, did you? Robin smiled and said, also, you seem to be interested in drawing Ziyun's own swimsuit photos, aren't you? If it weren't for this, you wouldn't be able to paint with dark circles in your eyes. If I'm not mistaken, you should have drawn quite a few portraits. As he said that, Robin looked at the dozens of images that Arong carried behind his back. Don't look. Arong hurriedly shielded his back. All right. Robin shook his head helplessly. However, since you have finished drawing, why do you still look so troubled and dare not hand it over to Ziyun? That's not the case. Anyway, I've already painted the painting, and I don't mind handing it over to him. Arong shook his head. It's just that I still have manga to draw. But right now my mind is blank, and I don't know how to draw at all. Moreover, with Ziyun's character, he will definitely have high demands on my cartoons, and even directly asked me to draw those embarrassing cartoons for him to read. But the problem is, I have absolutely no experience in this area. Although Dad may know how to draw, how dare I ask him this question? If you can't find inspiration, you can directly press, your father wants to marry Ziyun. After completing the couple's important affairs, you will naturally have inspiration, so you can draw, like that. Haha. Robin was all smiles. Hey, you are asking me to practice it myself. Arong patted Robin's chest. Arong felt a softness. By the way, Miss Robin, you have read so many books, you should have something to introduce in this area, and since you can say such bold words, I suggest that I look for inspiration from you. Hey, by the way, there is also Miss Murasaki Shikibu, you are so beautiful and so knowledgeable. Please allow me to collect materials from you. Arong ran to Murasaki's body. He took her hands and said, page 455. Oh wow. Shikibu's face suddenly turned red. Are you taking materials? Robin smiled and said, okay, otherwise, you can come to our place to collect materials tonight. You agree? Arong looked at Robin in surprise. I want to show it to Ziyun. It's okay. Robin shook his head. Sooner or later, you will see everything. Robin said quietly. What did you say? Arong looked at Robin and asked. Robin smiled, but did not answer Arong. It's fine if you don't want to say it. Arong stood up and sat down on the bench at the counter again. Hey. Come Robin, when will we start collecting materials? How about just tonight? Robin laughed. When the time comes, what shall I call you? Okay, I'm here when I'm called. Arong raised his hand and said. Robin smiled, drank the coffee in the cup, and left the coffee shop first, and Zishibu followed closely after seeing Robin leave. What, just leave? Arong drank the coffee that Xiali put in front of her in one gulp. Forget it, I have to go back and get ready, it's related to my appetite. Saying that, Arong jumped off the bench, and ran out of the cafe door. Ziyun is indeed the same as the rumors say. Looking at the three who left, Xiali couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Hey. Come Robin, are we really going to wear this? Isn't that too much? Inside the library, Murasaki Shikibu said, while wearing the black-based bunny girl costume that Robin forced on him. Not really, but you look more beautiful. Murasaki Shikibu. Robin in a white bunny suit said. That's right, Arong. Yeah, it's just amazing. Arong on the side stretched out his thumb. I feel that my inspiration for painting is constantly coming up. Why don't we start painting now? Wait a minute, there is another manga protagonist who hasn't appeared yet. Robin laughed. Another protagonist? Arong looked puzzled. Robin, Murasaki Shikibu, it's so late, why did you add me here? At the entrance of the library, Ziyun pushed open the door and walked in. You guys. Ziyun, who was about to say something, immediately. I was attracted by Robin and Murasaki Shikibu's outfits, and I swallowed what I wanted to say. How is it? Are you satisfied, Master? Robin walked to Ziyun's side, and took Ziyun's arm into his arms. This is a gift I specially prepared for you, Master, on Murloc Island. Very satisfied. Ziyun stretched out his thumb. Robin smiled, pulled Ziyun to Zishibu's side, and looked at Zishibu with a teasing smile. And Ziyun also stared closely at Zishibu dressed as a bunny girl. Ah, really? Don't worry about it. Zishibu hugged Ziyun's other arm with a cry, and led Ziyun with Robin to the depths of their library, where Zishibu usually rested. What's the matter, Arong? Don't you need material? Come and get it. Page 456. Halfway through, Robin turned around and looked at Arong with a smile on his face. So that's what you're talking about. Arong, who came over from the screening, widened his eyes. This way, the reduction rate is high, isn't it? Robin laughed. Or, you don't even have the courage to collect materials? After speaking, Robin and Sishibu led Ziyun into the inner room. Well, Arong scratched his hair vigorously. Isn't it just to collect materials? Arong, will not shrink back because of such things. After finishing speaking, Arong quickly rushed into the room where Ziyun and three of them were. You're here, Arong. What are you doing, Arong? Early in the morning, Ziyun was awakened by a itchy feeling on his body. When he opened his eyes, he saw that Arong was drawing something on Ziyun's body with a paintbrush in both hands. Drawing manga, isn't that what you asked for? Arong didn't look up at Ziyun, and continued to paint on Ziyundi. Seeing that Arong was so focused, Ziyun shook his head, and let Arong paint. At the same time, he was curious about what Arong would paint on his body. After lying down again, Ziyun looked at Robin and Sishibu beside him, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. Although he won the bet with Robin, how did Ziyun think that Robin would bring him such a big surprise, not only dressed up as Ziyun likes, but also with Sishibu? Afterwards, he even encouraged Arong, who was blushing to paint. Seeing Ziyun, Robin and Murasaki Shikibu interacting with each other, Arong, who was already very excited about such a scene, finally couldn't bear it anymore, and threw himself at Ziyun, becoming the heroine in a manga once. Ziyun. Just as Ziyun was looking at Robin, who was deeply asleep, Zishibu's quiet voice came from the other side of Ziyun. Ziyun turned his head and saw Zishibu looking at him shyly. Ziyun stretched out his head and tapped Zishibu's forehead, and then looked at her with a smile on his face. Woo! Zishibu bowed his head shyly, wrapped his arms around Ziyun's arms, and got close to Ziyun. That, can I really stay by Master Ziyun's side? Zishibu said in a low voice. Compared to Mr. Ligwang, who is beautiful and has a strong sense of majesty, do I seem a little too mediocre? Also, I don't serve you like Lord Scheherazade. There is also a beautiful queen like Scathach, and others. Ziyun stretched out a finger to block Sishibu's next words. I think you are beautiful enough, Murasaki Shikibu. Ziyun said with a smile. Beautiful and lovely woman, on the boat. A woman like you is the only one. It really makes people look at it, and I can't help but feel like a good bully. As he spoke, Ziyun gently pinched Zishibu's face with his fingers. Master Wuxiap. Murasaki's face turned even redder. Anyway, be confident. Ziyun Dao. The painting is finished. Zu, come and see, this is my proudest work. At this time, Arong suddenly stood up, put his hands on his hips, and said with a wild smile, why, don't you want to watch it? After laughing, Arong looked down at Ziyun, who was lying down, and found that Ziyun didn't get up to look at the painting on his body, but stared straight at himself. Is there something on me? Arong looked at himself strangely. Oh no. Ziyun smiled all over his face. However, it is precisely because there is nothing that makes it look good. Page 457. As he said that, Ziyun took a special look at the Yiji costume that Arong threw on a stool. Aside last night, Arong followed Ziyun's gaze, and only then did he realize his current situation. HMPH. What's so interesting about this? Didn't you watch it all last night? Not only was Arong not shy, but he straightened his chest even more. Your contrast is too great. Ziyun shook his head. You were so shy last night, but now you're so bold. Because I've already realized it. Aware. Ziyun was puzzled. During my short career as a lady, I realized that the more reserved I was, the more limited my artistic style became. And only by transcending reserve can my art reach a higher level. With a smile on the corner of Arong's mouth, he said excitedly. Hearing Arong's words, Ziyun's face immediately changed. Seriously, what are you talking about, Arong? The corners of Arong's mouth were split open. He stepped on Ziyun's abdomen with one step, opened his hands and laughed wildly. I'm not going to be a lady anymore, Ziyun. Ha 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 ha. You guy, have you heard what Dior said recently? Ziyun's serious face disappeared suddenly, and he said with a smile. Hey, it's just because I feel that Mr. Dior is very emotional when he tells this memory of himself, so I can't help but imitate it. Arong touched his head. Although I don't want to hurt you, Arong, it seems that you have never been associated with a lady. Now, it's just becoming more bold and unrestrained. Ziyun said. Come on, I know I'm not a lady anymore. Arong crossed his arms and put his feet on Ziyun's abdomen, and stepped on them lightly. It's not so much about this, let's take a good look at my paintings. All right. Hearing Arong's words, Ziyun got up slightly and looked at himself. Ziyun stared wide-eyed, looking at the painting covering his entire upper body. What are you drawing, Arong? Hey, isn't it shocking? Arong said happily. Shock is shock, but you let me go out with such words. Ziyun got up, pulled Arong into his arms, and rubbed her hair fiercely. Even if it will be blocked by clothes, I'm still very awkward. Also, if my clothes are damaged during the battle, you will not be willing for it. Hearing Ziyun's words, Arong couldn't help being taken aback. What's wrong with you? The movements of Ziyan and Arong woke up Robin, who was sleeping very deeply. Ziyan, what are you? Robin, who got up slowly, looked at Ziyan's painting that spread from his neck to his back, and couldn't help being stunned. Zishibu at the side was already blushing because he saw the painting on Ziyan's body clearly. It's Arong. How did you expect you to have what happened last night tattooed on Ziyan's body in this way? Robin looked at Arong with a smile on his face. But the drawing is really good. The appearance and expression of the four of us are all drawn vividly. It seems that you observe very carefully. Thank you for being able to observe so carefully in such a situation. Ziyan shook his head, held Rong under his arm with one hand, and stood on the ground. Robin, you geese rest for a while. I'll let Rong clean it up for me. Really, if the painting on my body is exposed to others during the battle, wouldn't I be at a loss? Page 458. After saying that, Ziyan dragged Arong out of the room and walked towards the bathroom. What an interesting painter. Seeing Ziyan and Arong leaving, Robin said with a smile. Robin, aren't you shy? Arong drew those scenes between us like that. Murasaki said shyly. What's the big deal? Isn't it all for Ziyan to see anyway? Don't you suggest to be seen by him? Robin shook his head, staring at Murasaki Shikibu. By the way, Murasaki Shikibu, you are also a great writer. Since Arong can describe such a scene through painting, you can also describe it through words. Murasaki Shikibu exclaimed in surprise. This kind of book, it's just that. Yeah, it's exactly what you're thinking. Such a subject should be very novel to you. Robin approached Zishibu. I believe Ziyan will like it very much. If you and Arong can cooperate with each other, it will definitely make Ziyan even happier. However, such a thing. Zishi hesitated. Don't you want Ziyunksin? Robin said. Hearing Robin's words, Murasaki Shikibu said without the slightest hesitation, of course I hope. Okay, I'll just write it. That's right. Don't forget to include me in it too. I don't expect to be a heroine, but at least give me a role as a supporting actress. Robin said with a smile. What about the heroine? Purple Shibu said. Robin smiled and stared at Murasaki Shikibu closely. Who do you want to be the heroine in? Your book? Isn't it yourself? Violet screamed. Anyway, I look forward to your book coming out soon. Of course, these books will not be brought into the library, but we female crew members and Ziyan can read them privately. Haha, Robin said. While Robin was talking with Murasaki Shikibu, Ziyan also brought Arong to the bathroom. Then, wash me up, Arong. Ziyan lay on the chair, pointed to the manga on his body, and said to Arong, be sure to wash it clean. Got it. Arong picked up the towel at the side and came to Ziyan. It's a pity. He is so serious about painting. At that time, you will be drawing on serious paper. Will you be able to do it soon? Ziyan closed his eyes and let Arong wipe his body with a towel. Speaking of which, I'm really looking forward to the next content of this comic. I'll draw this for you later. Arong patted Ziyan's leg. Lie down first. I'm not easy to wash here. Ziyan smiled and followed Arong's instructions. Arong's movements were quick, and within a few minutes, the painting on Ziyan's body was completely removed. Okay, that's it. Arong stood up and nodded in satisfaction. Is this the end? Ziyan sat up with some regret. Arong smiled when he heard Ziyan's words, and sat down on Ziyan's lap. Master, can you do me a favor? Arong moved his waist and stopped after Ziyan showed an expectant expression. Page 459. Can you provide some inspiration for my paintings? After finishing speaking, Arong's body suddenly snapped. After taking a shower in the bathroom, Ziyan took Arong, greeted Robin and Zishibu, and left the library. Afterwards, Arong also quickly returned to his room on the grounds that he had inspiration. Ziyan had no choice but to walk towards the deck alone. Did you hear that, Smoothie? I want you to bring Ziyan to Cake Island immediately, without waiting for the tea party to start. As soon as he reached the deck, a voice caught Ziyan's attention. Ziyan looked towards the front of the boat, and found that Smoothie was talking to someone with a phone bug. But, Mother, I don't know if Ziyan is willing to listen to my opinion, Smoothie said in embarrassment. Are you saying that you haven't gained Ziyan's trust for so many days? Charlotte Lingling's voice suddenly became sharper. Do you know what everyone in Dahai calls Ziyan now? The fifth emperor who deserves his name, the man standing at the top, the strongest in their new world. After defeating Whitebeard, the man's reputation has never been higher. Even many pirate groups aim to join him. At this time, if we don't have a deep enough relationship with him, the opportunity will be farther and farther away from us. Because of this, I want to see Ziyan immediately and talk to him about marrying you. Now you're telling me you can't do this? Charlotte Lingling said dissatisfiedly. Or, you didn't serve me well at all, or Ziyan is not interested in you. Mom, please give me a moment. Thinking of the punishment Charlotte Lingling told her before, Smoothie said hastily, because Ziyan has too many excellent female companions, it's hard for me to get his attention. Moreover, even if you want to help him fight, you have no chance at all. And, recently, even the most beautiful woman in the world, Empress Hancock, has boarded Ziyan's boat. Say no more, Smoothie, Charlotte Lingling said sharply. This matter is very important to me. Since you can't do it well, I will send other children to replace you. At least, the child Garrett seems to be very interested in Ziyun. When other people come over, you can come back directly and be punished. Wait, Mum. Thinking of Charlotte Lingling's punishment, Smoothie's face immediately become pale. I don't think there's a need for a replacement. Just as Smoothie was anxiously looking for a way to persuade Charlotte Lingling, Ziyun's voice came from behind Smoothie. Smoothie immediately turned around and looked at him in surprise. Your Excellency Ziyun. Ziyun smiled at Smoothie, waved to Smoothie who was much taller than him, and motioned for him to take down the phone bug. Smoothie quickly knelt down on one knee, and handed the phone bug to Ziyun. Smoothie has been doing really well during my time here, and some of our little girls love her too. Personally, I am very satisfied with her, so don't think about changing. Charlotte Lingling. This is the first phone call with you, Ziyun. Hearing Ziyun's voice, Charlotte Lingling's voice immediately. It eased a lot. How about it? Why don't you come to our one go? As I said just now, many of my daughters like you very much. If you come, I can. Okay, Charlotte Lingling. Didn't I promise you to attend your tea party afterward? Ziyun interrupted Charlotte Lingling. It's still some time before your tea party. Ziyun paused, then continued, I still have other places I want to go, so you can wait for a while. Also, I hope your desserts in Cake Island won't disappoint my companions. Since that's the case, then I'll wait patiently for a while. Charlotte Lingling said, Smoochie, just now Ziyun said that he likes you very much. Since that's the case, you have to behave well. Don't let me disappoint you. Yes, Mother. Page 460. Smoothie said quickly. Before I hang up, let me tell you one more thing, Ziyun. That guy Kaido can't stand it anymore. He might come to you at any time, so please pay attention to yourself. Lot Lingaling said. Beast Kaido? Ziyun cracked the corner of his mouth. Is it really true that he can't be killed? Although you are strong, it is better not to be Kaido. If you want, we can form an alliance. In this case, the world will be in our hands, Kaido. There will be no threat. Charlotte Lingling persuaded. Let's talk about this matter when I get to one. Ziyun shook his head. Let's stop here now. I still need Smoothie to help me get a glass of fresh juice. See you later. With that said, Ziyun directly hung up the phone. Thank you just now, Your Excellency Ziyun. After putting away the phone bug, Smoothie looked at Ziyun and said gratefully. Ziyun waved his hand. I've said it before, you haven't behaved well recently. Wrong, and it is also true that Jack and the others like you. Because of this, I said what I just said. No matter what, I still want to thank you. Smoothie said gratefully. I'll prepare fresh juice for you. After finishing speaking, Smoothie took 2 hip steps, came to a square table, picked up a cup and fruit, and quickly swung his knife to Ziyun's side. How should I put it? Every time I see your ability, I always feel a little weird. Ziyun watched the fruit slowly with her in Smoothie's hands, and couldn't help sighing. Don't you like this ability? Smoothie asked. Ziyun shook his head, took the fruit in Smoothie's hand, and took a sip. It's not that I don't like it, it's just a little awkward, but after watching it a few times, I should get used to it. Ziyun drank the fruit in one gulp. After all, the squeezed juice tastes pretty good. That's good. Smoothie sighed in relief. After looking at Ziyun again, thinking of what Charlotte Lingling said to him earlier, Smoothie bit his lip, and slowly knelt down in front of Ziyun. That, if Your Excellency Ziyun doesn't dislike it, please come to my place to rest for a while. Smoothie pointed to his thigh and said, I have never experienced such a neat pillow. Ziyun looked at Smoothie's thighs which were comparable to his own height, and couldn't help thinking. After nodding to Smoothie, Ziyun slowly floated up and lay down on Smoothie's lap. Are you satisfied? Smoothie asked a little nervously. It's pretty good. Ziyun put his hands on his abdomen, looked up at Smoothie's face above him. I have to say, facing a tall girl like you is still a lot of fun. Lying here makes me feel like I'm lying in a cradle. As long as you are satisfied. Smoothie exhaled. Smoothie, you seem to be very afraid of your mother. It seems that in order to avoid being punished by her, she is willing to do anything. Ziyun changed the subject and said. Faced with Ziyun's question, Smoothie was a little speechless. Tell me, if Charlotte Lingling is gone someday, will you still provide me with your lap pillow? Ziyun said. Page 461. Hearing Ziyun's words, Smoothie's eyes widened immediately. What do you mean? Ziyun closed his eyes. Think about your future, Smoothie. Look at your service during this time, if possible. I don't want you to stand against us. For someone like Charlotte Lingling, I have no intention of working with her from the beginning. When I arrive at Cake Island, her life will come to an end. From the beginning, there was no possibility of me marrying her. Besides, I don't want to have mother-in-law like this. After listening to Ziyun's words, Smoothie's forehead felt instantly. Sweat broke out. Think about it, Smoothie, and if you want to tell Charlotte Lingling about it, it's alright, and I won't make it hard for you. And you, if you decide to leave the Golden Deer, I will let you disembark at the nearest island. After finishing speaking, Ziyun stopped talking and lay quietly on Smoothie's lap. Looking at Ziyun's calm face, Smoothie frowned tightly. Smoothie has no doubt that the Drake pirates have the strength to defeat the pirates. After spending time with Ziyun and his party these days, Smoothie has already partly realized how powerful Ziyun and others are. She even felt that if Ziyun wanted to, Ziyun could keep the Whitebeard pirates there when he was in Fishman Island. After all, Whitebeard was defeated by Ziyun and Scathach, respectively. Not to mention, there are so many other powerful people on the Drake pirates. Thinking of Charlotte Lingling's ruthless rule over her brothers and sisters for a long time, thinking of the punishments she has experienced, Smoothie finally spoke after thinking for a long time. Your Excellency Ziyun, can I make a request to you? If possible, I hope you can spare other people when you are fighting with your mother. I'll pay any price if you want. Ziyun opened his eyes, and looked at Smoothie quietly. And Smoothie also couldn't avoid staring at Ziyun's eyes. If, after I get rid of Charlotte Lingling, they don't seek revenge on me, then I won't trouble them. After a long time, Ziyun said calmly, of course, the premise is that they can live in peace. If they want to cause chaos in this sea, or even affect my territory, then don't blame me for being rude. Don't worry, Lord Ziyun, when the time comes, I will definitely persuade them. Hearing Ziyun's words, Smoothie smiled. Ziyun nodded and closed his eyes again. Looking at the powerful man in front of him, who was so quiet on his lap at the moment, Smoothie mustered up his courage, and slowly stretched out his hand, fiddled with him, and brushed his hair. Damn it, I really want to be like Master Ziyun. Hancock, who came to the hatch, bit his handkerchief and said enviously. Early this morning, Hancock dressed up very beautifully, put on a cheongsam with a lot of slits, and came outside Ziyun's room, trying to give Ziyun an early morning greeting. However, after waiting for a long time, Ziyun did not come out of the room. Later, at Skaha's place passing by, Hancock learned that Ziyun had been in the library last night and hadn't returned to his room. While deeply surprised by Skahana's beauty which is not inferior to his own, Hancock hurried to the library. But Hancock was one step too late after all. When she came to the library, Ziyun had already arrived on the deck of the Golden Deer, chatting with Smoothie. And when he saw Robin and Murasaki Shikibu opened the door of the room where Murasaki Shikibu used to rest in the library, Hancock, who guessed what happened last night, immediately envious up. Finally, when Hancock came to the deck, he finally found Ziyun, but at this moment, Ziyun had already enjoyed Smoothie's special neat pillow. Hancock, you're awake. Sensing the movement, Ziyun turned his head and looked in the direction of the sound. How about it? Are you still used to it on the Golden Deer? Of course I'm used to it. Rather, I like being on the Golden Deer very much. Hancock quickly came to Ziyun's side, squatted down, and said with a smile on his face. Ziyun nodded and was about to continue talking when the phone on his body rang at this moment. Hey, Ziyun connected to the phone bug. Your Excellency Ziyun, here is a dragon. From the opposite side came Long's slightly high-pitched voice. It's you. It sounds like you're very happy to hear your voice. Did something good happen to you? Ziyun said with a smile. Page 462. Yes, we revolutionaries have greatly promoted our revolutionary cause after using the weapons produced by Mr. Tesla. Just today, we managed to overthrow a brutal country in just 6 hours. Of course, we have hung their Blue Star flag in this country as agreed, Long said happily. Moreover, the people of this country are very willing to accept the rule of Blue Star, when they know that Blue Star helped them liberate this country. Very good. Ziyun nodded. You tell the people in that country that since the Blue Star flag is hung, we will naturally provide them with asylum. Dragon, you should also pay attention to the movements of the world government and navy. If they plan to act there, remember to tell us in time. Don't worry, we will finish the intelligence work well. Long smiled and said, however, the main purpose of calling you this time is not to talk about this matter. Hey, is there anything else? Ziyun said. When we were in the Fishman Island, Kyuhai, Cook got on your boat, Your Excellency Ziyun. Long said. Ziyun, that's true, but is there any problem? That's right, I think Empress Hankun has become your crew member, so I think it's necessary to tell Your Excellency about it. Long paused and continued. The intelligence members of our revolutionaries got the news that the Navy sent Sengoku, and a new mysterious general and the Lieutenant General of the Navy headquarters set off for Amazon Lily. It may take less than a day to reach the Amazon Lily. I suspect that the newly appointed Admiral of the Navy, Sarkarski, wants to take action against the country of Hancock, the Empress who has been awarded the identity of the 7 warlords, so he will take such an action. And since I'm not far from the Amazon Lily now, I'm also rushing there. The Navy has the Marshal changed, and a new admiral has been recruited. Ziyun got up and slid down onto the deck along Smoothie's smooth thighs, and at the same time had a vague guess about the new admiral in his heart. Ziyun raised his head and looked at Hancock, who was faintly worried after hearing the news. Don't worry, I won't let Amazon Lily have anything to do. As he spoke, Ziyun patted Hancock's arm lightly. Long, you don't have to go. Ziyun continued to say to the phone bug, I will go to Daughter's Island in person. It is my territory after all. Since the Navy and the others are attacking my territory, I will let them stay in the cell for a while. Coincidentally, because I want to produce weapons for you, my funds here have gradually become a little insufficient. Since the Navy has taken the initiative to send us funds this time, I have to go and welcome them. In that case, I leave this matter to your excellency. Long said. Well, you go about your own business. With that said, Ziyun hung up the phone bug in his hand. Master Ziyun, is it still too late for us to go to Daughter's Island? As soon as Ziyun hung up the phone, Hancock asked hurriedly. Although he usually behaves like he is dismissive of his country and Ziming, but when their country is in crisis, Hancock is still very anxious. Don't worry, although there is a certain distance from Daughter's Island, if I fly with all my strength, I will arrive in less than half a day. Ziyun stretched his waist and slowly floated up. Hancock, you can stay on the Golden Deer with peace of mind. I will take care of the matter on Daughter's Island for you. Is it the Amazon country in this world? I'm very interested. Why don't you take me with you? Just finished the morning exercise during training, and the sweaty Penthesily walked out from the entrance of the cabin. I believe it won't affect your speed much if you bring me with you. No problem. Ziyun nodded with a smile. It just so happens that there are enemies with good strength. Going there, you can also ask them to practice your hand. Hey, this is really exciting. Penthesily smiled. That. Master Ziyun, can you take me with you? Hancock grabbed Ziyun's hand. I also want to introduce you to the people, and, if possible, I want to complete our wedding in Amazon Lily. In the end, Hancock lowered his head blushing. Master Ziyun, please take me with you. Although my strength is insufficient, I still want to contribute my own strength, Smoothie said quickly, while looking at Ziyun expectantly. After deciding to join Ziyun's command in the future, Smoothie really wanted to highlight his role in the team to prove his worth. Page 463, and hope to exchange their own worth for the safety of other brothers and sisters. Although Ziyun promised that he would not attack them casually, Smoothie still wanted to impress Ziyun with his actions. Okay, let's take you with me. Ziyun also saw Smoothie's intention and agreed with her. Ziyun raised his hands up slowly, and with his movements, green fluorescent lights rose rapidly from under the feet of the three of Penthesily. Fluorescent brought the three of them to Ziyun's side, and quickly formed a circle, enough to accommodate the psychokinetic hoods of Ziyun and the other four. Then, Drake, I'll leave for a while, and I'll leave everything on the ship to you, Ziyun said to Drake who came to the deck. Leave it to me, Yun. Drake patted his chest and said. Ziyun nodded, with a thought. The power of the thought quickly covered the deep space, broke the sound barrier, and flew towards Daughter's Island at an extremely fast speed. Fujitora smiled. As you who were promoted to general by Sarkoski, what do you think of our action against Amazon Lily this time? On a huge warship, Sengoku, who was demoted to the captaincy of the Navy, said because of the unsuccessful operations against Blue Star several times. This is a very dangerous action, but also a very necessary action. Fujitora closed his eyes tightly and replied with a serious face. As the Shikibukai recognized by the world government, if you join the Drake pirates at will, it will definitely have a great impact on the Navy and the world government's Shikibukai policy. And if we don't deal with it, many other pirate groups are likely to join Ziyun's command like the 9 Snake Pirates, so we have to deal with the Empress Hancock's matter. However, in the final analysis, I was already skeptical about Kyuhai's policy, and the incident with Empress Hancock has strengthened my thinking. If possible, I hope that in the future, the Navy can completely abolish the Shikibukai policy. Fujitora said. It's impossible to do that now. Chief of the Navy Juru walked up to Fujitora and said, now, Blue Star is too powerful, and, besides them, there are 4 emperors in the New World. If our Navy loses the guard of Shikibukai, if not, it is also a loss for us. However, the matter of Empress Hancock really needs to be dealt with seriously, and this can also serve as a warning to other Kyuhai members. Crane turned his head and looked at Fujitora. However, I'm curious why someone as powerful as you would join our Navy at this time. You must know that we are now in a very passive state. Fujitora lowered his head, and after being silent for a while, he said, I have fought against Ziyun before. You fought the Ziyun before. Sengoku stared at Fujitora with wide eyes. I haven't heard you say that before. It's not something worth bringing up. Fujitora shook his head. After all, that time, it can be said that I lost. Although I can feel that neither of us is using our full strength. But if we really want to do it, the possibility of my losing may be a little bit higher. Is that so? Sengoku sighed. After all, that guy is someone who can defeat even Whitebeard Howard. However, he is not invincible. He had a serious expression on his wrinkled face. No matter how strong a person is, there is a limit. If we can gather enough strength to deal with him, even that guy will definitely lose. The problem is that he has too many powerful partners by his side. Warring States shook his head. At this time, our Navy should be concentrating on gathering its own strength. but that fellow Sakarsky would actually have a bad reaction to the people in their navy because of Ziyun's words in the Chambord Islands. Much doubt. Even Totu, who you often act with, is under suspicion, just because Ziyun was talking to her at the time. If it wasn't for the world government's determination to let Sakarsky take over as marshal, I would have stopped recommending Kizan as marshal. Sakarsky really went too far with that. Thinking of the cold reception my younger sister Tota received in the navy recently, even their usually peaceful Crane frowned. I would rather recruit outsiders to join the navy than trust the old people in the navy more. Even Kizana, the conflict between the guy and Sakarsky has been magnified enough to be put on the table. If Garp hadn't been a peacemaker in the middle, there might have been two callers. Of course, it's a lucky thing for us to have a guy like you among the people we recruited. Zhuru turned his head to look at Fujitora and said, "It's a blessing to be praised so much by you, and I will do my best for justice." Fujitora said, "Report. We are about to enter the calm zone near Daughter's Island." Page 464. A soldier ran over and said to Zanko and the others, "Is it coming already?" Momotu, who had been silent since boarding the boat, came forward, looked at the faintly visible Gull Island in the distance and said, "In any case, this operation should be completed as soon as possible." Fujitora turned his head and looked in the direction of Daughter's Island. Sengoku nodded. Blue Star is suspected to have the ability to move quickly between islands. In order to avoid what happened to Sakarsky on Magnetic Drum Island last time, I will leave it to you, Fujitora. Amazon Lily is a kingdom of pirates, so I am naturally willing to use my strength to eradicate them, Fujitora said with a solemn face. On the other hand, the Navy warships are approaching in large numbers, and the Amazon warriors on Daughter Island have also discovered it. It's not good, everyone. The people from the Navy are coming towards us. The Amazon warrior Stubby ran towards his companions, shouting loudly. "What? Did you come so fast?" Belladonna said in surprise. Not long ago, Grannyza had already told the citizens of Daughter Island via phone bug about Hancock's joining Ziyun's command, and also warned about the possible naval threat. Therefore, when Belladonna learned of the arrival of the Navy, she could not help feeling worried. Damn it, the speed of the Navy is too fast. Most of the combat forces on the island are still on the pirate ship and have not returned to the island. Her Lady Queen can't come back at this time either. What should I do? Now is not the time to think about it. Belladonna shook her head, and looked at Aflandra and Margaret beside her. You two, hurry up with Stubby to inform the soldiers on the island of the upcoming Navy, and let them come to their coast and get ready. Yes, Aflandra and Margaret answered quickly, and they ran quickly towards the town on the island. With Stubby, their warriors of Amazon Lily were very fast, and it didn't take long for them all to gather on their coast. At this time, the Navy's warships had already arrived at Daughter's Island. Because the Navy's warships have been sailing at full speed, they disturbed many Sea Kings in the calm zone, but these Sea Kings did not cause any damage to the warships. The Sea Kings who attacked the warship were either chopped into two pieces, or their bodies were dented, and they floated on the sea around the warship as if they had been hit hard. Their blood stained a large area of the nearby sea red, attracting more Sea Kings. But these Neptunes have never been able to get close to the warship. Navy, are you going to our country to declare war on us? Belladonna stepped forward and said aloud. Empress Hancock was awarded the title of Kyuhai by our Navy and the world government, allowing legal plunder, but now, your queen has joined the command of our greatest enemy, Ziyun. Punishment. Warring States walked to the bow of the boat and said with a serious face. Therefore, it is time for your country to come to an end. Fujitora walked up to Sengoku, drew out the staff knife in his hand, and quickly swung it around his body. When Tenkyue put the saber back into its sheath, purple ripples rose from its body, flew towards the sky at a very fast speed, and finally disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. You bastard, what did you do? Belladonna said anxiously. Take this as my farewell gift to you. Fujitora bowed his head and said, and following Fujitora's words, a huge shadow suddenly appeared above the heads of the Amazon warriors. The Amazons immediately, looking up, what caught their eyes was a huge meteorite that was falling towards Daughter Island with its fiery red tail. My god, how could such a thing happen? Meteorite, that's a meteorite. How could human beings do such a thing? What should we do? The Empress is not here. What should we do? Looking at the meteorite that suddenly appeared in front of their eyes, the Amazon female warriors immediately panicked. In stark contrast to the mother soldiers on the Navy side, the Navy is still not familiar with the newly appointed Admiral Fujitora, and they were a little dissatisfied with him at first. But now they saw that Fujitora made such a big move when he made a move, immediately abandoning prejudices and cheering. Page 465. Is this the strength of Fujitora? Tota looked at the meteorite in the sky and was secretly startled, while comparing her own strength. Can't catch up? Momotu shook his head. This kind of destructive power, only the three of Sakarsky can catch up with it. It seems that I am still far behind. Fujitora, who was waiting for the result, suddenly frowned. and turned his head to look behind him. When the Navy cheered and the Amazons were desperate, a light and shadow that broke through the sound barrier quickly approached the meteorite. When approaching the meteorite, the light and shadow split into 4 paths, 3 of which fell towards the female warriors on Daughter Island, and the remaining 1 directly met the falling meteorite. Boom! With a loud sound, the meteorite that had fallen at a high speed stopped directly above their Daughter Island. At this moment, the meteorite was emitting a greenish light. "Why? What's the matter? Why did you stop?" General Fujitora's attack was blocked. The Marines opened their mouths wide. Because of the distance, ordinary Navy soldiers could not clearly see the figure under their meteorite, but Zanko and others did clearly see the person who has shamed the Navy and the world government several times. Zanko gritted his teeth and looked at the bottom of the meteorite. Zion held the meteorite upwards with one hand, clenched his fists with both hands, as if he would explode at any moment and rush out. "Sengoku, calm down," Crane said quickly. "Master Shiji, you are back." In the direction of Daughter's Island, the Amazon warriors immediately looked at the Empress Hancock, who suddenly appeared beside her. He shouted happily, and at the same time, he had a little confidence in resisting the Navy. Fortunately, arrived in time. Ziyan looked at the soldiers of the Daughter Kingdom below, and heaved a sigh of relief. "How did you expect the speed of these navies to be so fast?" "Much earlier than expected." If it was really because of himself that the name of Daughter Island was slaughtered by the Navy, Ziyan would feel extremely sorry, and it would be difficult for him to even face Hancock. While he breathed a sigh of relief, Ziyan's heart was also filled with anger. "This time, it seems that I will teach you an unforgettable lesson, Navy." Looking back at the Navy, Ziyan thought to himself. As for the high-end combat power in the Navy, Ziyan saw it immediately. Bringing up 100% spirit, aware of Ziyan Lai, Ziyan dragged the meteorite above his head with his telekinetic force, and began to rise. Their speed became faster and faster, and soon, his speed caught up with the falling speed of the meteorite just now. And as Ziyan rose, under the strong sunlight, it was difficult for the Marines to see Ziyan's figure clearly. Even Zanko and the others used their knowledge and arrogance to observe Ziyan's every move. "That guy, shouldn't it be?" Warring States blocked the sun with one hand, looked at the sky and said. As soon as the words of the Warring States period were finished, he felt domineering and keenly aware that the meteorite began to fall. "Get ready, Black-haired Admiral S attack is coming." Warring States roared loudly. Following his words, the meteorite shrouded in telekinetic power quickly appeared before the eyes of the Navy. Ordinary soldiers didn't even have time to react, and they saw that they were already covered by a shadow. Standing at the bow of the boat, Fujitora suddenly pulled out his staff knife, and the purple repulsion was concentrated on the knife, and he swung it upwards. The powerful repulsion is like a tiger out of the cage, rushing towards the prey above its head. Boom! A huge roar sounded, and purple energy covered the surface of the meteorite. The Marines looked at the sky expectantly, but before they could feel relieved, the meteorite rushed out of the envelopment of purple energy, and continued to fall downward without even reducing its speed much. Fujitora frowned, lifted the blade upwards, and the surging repulsion was transmitted from his body to the tip of the blade, and then slammed into the meteorite. "That guy's strength is much stronger than when I fought him." Warring States, help me crush that meteorite together," Fujitora said loudly. Page 466. "I see." Warring States took off his shirt and turned into a giant with shining golden light. He aimed his palm upwards at the meteorite above his head, and shockwaves burst out from his hands continuously, attacking the meteorite above. And the rest of the navies also directed their attacks to the meteorites. "It works." "The speed of the meteorite has slowed down a lot," said Momochu, who waved a Sordora. "Hee. Useless, useless." Standing above the meteorite, Ziyan laughed loudly, and his voice spread throughout their entire sea area. "Oh, if it was an ordinary meteorite, it might be easily crushed by you, but unfortunately, their meteorite at this moment has already been enveloped by my telekinetic power. With this attack of yours, it is impossible to crush it. Even if it can't be crushed, the meteorite whose speed has dropped to 0, don't even think about causing us any harm," Warring States said loudly. "Oh, really?" Ziyan's stand-in world appeared beside him. "It seems that the speed has slowed down, giving you some hope. If that's the case, let me give you some more information." Wood, big. Ziyan and the substitute bent down at the same time, and their fists shining with gold kept bombarding the surface of the meteorite, and the meteorite began to accelerate at a speed visible to the naked eye. Boom! Fujitora, who tried his best to stop the falling meteorite, bent his knees suddenly, and almost fell to his knees on the deck due to the shock of the force. "Damn it, get out of here. I can't hold on anymore," Fujitora yelled loudly. Then he freed one hand and waved violently at the warship below him. Driven by the repulsive force, the warship immediately moved to the side. Only Fujitora remained where he was. And as Fujitora withdrew part of his power, Hai Hai and others were finally unable to stop their falling meteorite. Just as he was stepping on a piece of wood, Fujitora, who was floating in the air, was about to resist the meteorite behind him, when the meteorite suddenly turned and smashed towards the naval warship. Boom! Damn it, that Ziyun Sengoku, who narrowly avoided the falling meteorite, stepped on the moon steps in the air, gnashing his teeth and looking at Ziyun floating in the air. Beside him, there are only Momotu, he and a few lieutenant generals of the Navy headquarters. The other Navy soldiers have all been buried in the impact of the meteorite at this moment, falling into the depths of the sea together with the Navy warship. Fujitora smiled and hurriedly stepped on the board and floated to Sengoku and others. Looking at Hai Hai and the others who looked at him angrily, Ziyun had no doubt that if eyes could kill, he would have died several times by now. Ziyun opened the corner of his mouth slightly, and raised his right hand upwards. The meteorite that had already fallen towards the bottom of the sea resurfaced under the control of his telekinetic power, floating quietly on the sea. Ziyun took out a throne from the treasure house of Babylon, sat on it, and hooked his hands at Zango and others. "Why, Warring States, you are here, why don't you come down and have a good talk?" As he said that, Ziyun seemed to be kind enough to take out chairs for the living sailors, and threw them across from him. Also, Fujitora smiled, "This is our second meeting. But these two meetings, it seems that you are not very friendly to me. Forget it the first time, but this time, it's too much for someone who wants to destroy my country." Saying that, Ziyun condensed his hands, and the spiritual pressure from Saraki Kenpaki covered Fujitora with a smile. Facing the shock from the soul brought by Ryatsu, Fujitora ignored him and almost fell from their wooden board under his feet. And this is not over yet. Ziyun took out the Crimson Death-piercing gun, directly liberating their real name of the magic gun, and threw it towards Fujitora with a smile. The spear that pierces through death, the magic spear projected by Ziyun with all his strength, appeared in front of Fujitora in an instant with huge crimson magic power. Fujitora had no time to dodge, only had time to raise their stick knife in his hand, and the attack of the magic spear had already arrived. Boom! The crimson light erupted from where Fujitora was, and the huge guarantee even spread to other people around Fujitora. The seawater below the Navy and the others rolled violently, forming waves that spread out to the surroundings. Ziyun used the ground-piercing death-flying spear by throwing. There is no must penetrate the opponent's heart. This is a conceptual feature, but its power and range of effects have been increased. Page 467. Fujitora, who was directly hit by Ziyun's devil gun, even spun and flew backwards with a smile. Although he used arm domineering and gravity fruit to resist, but because the speed of their magic gun is too fast, and the destructive power within its explosion range is extremely strong, the clothes on Fujitora Yixiao's body are already torn, and his whole body is even worse. It was covered with tiny scars, and the blood left by it was instantly evaporated by the high temperature of the crimson magic power, leaving only some burnt scars. Ziyun grasped it with one hand, and the telekinetic force directly covered Fujitora Yixiao's body. Before Senko and others had time to react, he suddenly pulled Fujitora towards him. At the same time, Ziyun hooked a chair in front of him with one hand, and put it to the side, just in time to catch the flying Fujitora with a smile. Fujitora smiled and slammed the chair next to Ziyun heavily, and with that, Ziyun also dissipated the thought power that trapped Fujitora. Just as Fujitora was about to take action, Ziyun shot the death-piercing spear. It suddenly turned into a beam of red light and flew back and forth, rubbing Fujitora's heart, directly passing through his body, and piercing through the death-flying spear gun. It's not even a millimeter away from Fujitora's heart. "Don't move, Fujitora." Ziyun turned his head and looked at Fujitora beside him with a smile. "Since I have prepared my position for you, why don't you give me face? Otherwise, the gun in your body can kill you at any time." Fujitora's eyes that couldn't see the light opened slightly, and looked at Ziyun's direction at the beginning of the film. Although he didn't want to just get caught like this, he finally calmed down. "Honestly, this Ziyun actually has such strength. Could it be that when he fought me for the first time, he still had a lot of abilities that he hadn't brought into play?" Fujitora thought to himself. "Ziyun, let Fujitora go soon." Warring States came to the sky above Ziyun, and said with an angry face, after getting up, he followed Toto and others. "It's strange what you said, Warring States. After all, I'm just doing it in self-defense." "Don't you mean that only you can attack our territory, but we can't fight back?" Ziyun slightly raised his head and looked towards Zango. "Also, can you stop talking on top of me? It makes me very uncomfortable, and if I am unhappy, the safety of the person next to me cannot be guaranteed." Ziyun pointed to the chair opposite him. "Come down and talk. Won't you be able to destroy Daughter Island in front of me and my companions with just a few of you?" As soon as Ziyun finished speaking, Benthasili brought Smoothie and Hancock behind Ziyun. "Of course, The new General Fujitora who chose to give up on you is not afraid to escape from here is allowed. Ziyan put one hand on the armrest of the chair and leaned against his head. I promise you, if you do this, I can let you leave here and I won't chase you. Hee, asshole. Do you think we'll do this? Warring States roared. When facing Ziyan, Warring States could no longer maintain his usual calm. It seems that you are unwilling to take the initiative to come down. If so, let me pull you down. Ziyan raised his head back, the corners of his mouth curled up. However, I'm sure I won't pull you down so gently. Following Ziyan's words, a large number of golden ripples suddenly appeared in the sky over Zango and the others in a radius of meters, turning half of the sky into golden yellow. Afterwards, hundreds of golden weapons slowly appeared from it, trembling slightly, and they were about to attack Zango and others. Everyone be alert. Sengoku tensed all his muscles. The attack of the strongest man in the world is coming, although it is not like admitting it. Ziyan, who defeated Whitebeard, has indeed been called the new world's strongest man by people all over the world. Up, master. Didn't you say that you want me to participate in the battle? Penthesily pressed Ziyan's shoulder. If you just deal with them all, it won't make sense for me to come here soon. Sorry. Ziyan turned around and nodded apologetically, seeing that Fujitora almost destroyed Amazon Lily directly. I was a little bit dizzy with anger. Ziyan waved his hand, and the golden ripples all over the sky disappeared. At the same time, Zango and the others breathed a sigh of relief temporarily. I'll pull that Sengoku down to fight with you. He is also the strongest among that group of people. Master Ziyan, if possible, please allow me to participate in this battle. I will do my best for you. Smoothie also said hastily. All right. Ziyan looked at Smoothie and said. Turning around, Ziyan looked at the meteorite under his feet, and the power of thought covered the meteorite again, and as the power of thought was compressed and expanded, soon, a square field made of meteorite appeared at the feet of Ziyan and others. Well, it will be more convenient for you to display it now. Ziyan looked at the enlarged meteorite ground under his feet, and nodded in satisfaction. And Fujitora at the side felt the meteorite deformed like a toy in Ziyan's hands, and even opened his already blind eyes wide. Then, it's time to invite the spectators and contestants to take their seats. Ziyan looked at Zango and the others above him and made an evil smile. And Zango and others are also trying their best to think about the next strategy. Page 468. However, soon, they realized that they didn't need to think about it. Ziyan thought softly. Strange fluctuations spread from Ziyan's body. Amidst the faint ticking of the clock, the entire space froze for an instant. Zango and the others maintained their previous appearances and were directly frozen in the air. Ziyan smiled, and the skylock flew out from Ziyan's side, tied up Zango and the others, and pulled them to his side. Except for Zango and Tauta who were still standing, he and several other lieutenant generals of the headquarters sat on the chairs that Ziyan had prepared in advance. Well, in order for your teacher to point, you still have to make a hole in your body. Ziyan rubbed his chin and thought. Afterwards, several swords protruded from the treasure house, directly piercing through the bodies of several vice admirals. And just like in Fujitora's case, the blade is only a tiny distance away from their hearts. Seeing as you are so old, I won't do anything to you. Looking at the wrinkled crane beside him, Ziyan shook his head and said. Then, time begins to flow. Following Ziyan's words, the frozen space began to flow again. This is. Seeing the sudden change of scene, Zango and the others widened their eyes, and found that they were sitting beside Ziyan. Several lieutenant generals immediately want to move. Laugh. However, when they started to move, they felt a tingling sensation in their chests, and some vice admirals stopped immediately. However, not all lieutenant generals were able to stop in time, because Vice Admiral Ghost Spider rushed too fast. His heart was directly cut by the long sword on his chest, and he fell to the ground. How so? With a puzzled expression, Lieutenant General Ghost Spider slowly closed his eyes until he died. He didn't know why he suddenly appeared beside Ziyan, why there was a sword stuck in his chest. Ghost Spider Admiral. The standing Peach Rabbit hurriedly came to the Ghost Spider, and stretched out his hand towards his neck. Don't try again, Peach Rabbit. Ziyan opened the corner of his mouth. The heart is already broken, no matter how tenacious his vitality is. He can't survive. Ziyan, seeing the backbone of the Navy, Lieutenant General Ghost Spider, die in front of him, the voice of the Warring States could not help trembling. More importantly, as a former Admiral of the Navy, he didn't even have time to stop Ziyan, and he didn't know how Ziyan managed to bring so many of them to the ground without him noticing. At the same time, the Warring States also became more afraid of Ziyan's power. You acted quite quietly. Ziyan looked at the crane sitting beside him. Unexpectedly, he was able to sit here quietly without being driven by a sword. I should say, as expected of the Navy's chief staff officer, the older Lieutenant General, Crane. Although there is no sword around my neck, if I move around casually, you will definitely attack me, Ziyan. He looked at Ziyan solemnly and said, who knows? Ziyan chuckled. Why don't you give it a try? This time, you won. Ziyun. Now what are you going to do to us? Let's go to the navy for Bailey and devil fruit, he said calmly, as if Ziyun was not the one being captured at this moment. Originally, I had this plan. Ziyun looked at Senko and Taotu, as if talking to them again. However, after seeing that you almost destroyed Hancock's house, I changed my mind. Tell me, what will happen to the navy if every action your navy takes against us results in destruction? The corners of Ziyun's mouth formed a dangerous smile. If none of you go back this time, the new Admiral Fujitora, the former Admiral Sengoku, and you, the old Lieutenant General all died. Here, how would that guy Sakazuki react? Hearing Ziyun's words, Crane's originally calm face instantly turned ferocious, and the fruit ability in his body couldn't stop escaping. Hey, do you want to make a move? Page 469. Ziyun didn't even look at the Crane, and said with a smile on his face. In the end, he still didn't make a move, and gradually calmed down. She understood that there was no guarantee that those who were with her before could defeat Ziyun. His ability to make them move suddenly just now is enough to prove this point, not to mention that there is a woman exuding a dangerous atmosphere behind him. He glanced slightly at Benthasili, who was about to move behind Ziyun. Since you didn't talk to me directly, that means there is still room for relaxation, Ziyun. Crane said. Hee, don't say I won't give you a chance. Warring States. Ziyun didn't talk to the Crane, but looked at the Warring States Hetao and the rabbit. There. One behind me. Amazon Queen Penthasile fought a fierce battle, so I didn't attack you just now. Warring States plus Smoothie, if the two of you can beat Penthasile separately. If you and Smoothie, you can leave safely, and you don't have to pay me for the Burman fruit. But if you both lose, don't worry about Bailey and the devil fruit, because the Amazon Lily is the end of your life. Hearing Ziyun's words, Zango and Taotu immediately get nervous. What if we win a game? Peach Rabbit immediately said. From Momogi's point of view, although she doesn't know the strength of Benthasili, but Smoothie, one of the 4 generals of the pirates, Momogi still thinks that he will have a great advantage in facing her. Even if the price to be paid after winning a victory is not too harsh, you can let Sengoku fight Smoothie and fight Penthasili by yourself. If you win a game, I allow you to pay a ransom in exchange for your departure in the same way as before. What if we win both games? Sengoku looked at Benthasili at the side, and said sharply, 2 games. Ha 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 ha. Ziyun covered his face and laughed wildly. If you can win both games, I will not only let you all leave safely, but also, Ziyun stretched out his right hand, this arm is also given to you. How about it? What? No, Lord Ziyun. Please don't gamble with your own body. Hearing Ziyun's words, Hancock rushed to Ziyun and said anxiously before the people in the navy responded. Yes, Master Ziyun, no matter what. Please don't bet on such a thing, Smoothie said worriedly. Ziyun patted Hancock's arm, looked at Smoothie. You are worried that you will lose. Smoothie looked warily at Zango and Totu, and then said to this dizzy, Master Ziyun, I will definitely go all out, but if I lose, I hope that I will be punished. Not you, my lord. No, Smoothie, since you decided to come to my ship, you are my partner, and without my permission, you will not be punished by the navy. Ziyun shook his head. You don't need to have too much psychological pressure. You can fight at ease. Ziyun turned to look at Benthasili. Queen Benthasili is very powerful, no matter how you say it. She can't lose 2 games. Yes, Benthasili. Hee, what a confident person. Benthasili stared at Sengoku closely. If that's the case, he must have comparable strength. Then, let me be your opponent. Hee. In this case, Charlotte Smoothie will be dealt with by me, Commander-in-Chief of the Warring States. Momotu walked up to Sengoku, and pulled out his famous sword Kinpira. Then, Tota will be handed over to you. Ziyun nodded to Smoothie. Don't have any psychological pressure, just feel free to show your strength. Smoothie nodded solemnly, pulled out the longsword on his back, and came to Tota with one crotch. Ding, ding, ding. In the square field built by Ziyun, there are 2 graceful figures, one big and one small, constantly shuttling through the field. Could it be that a sword energy was thrown from their place where the 2 of them were fighting, cutting on the ground and the sea? Page 470. However, the ground that was attacked by the sword chi could not cause any damage to it, and the power of thought covering the ground completely blocked the attack of the sword chi. Boom. As Smoothie and Momotu sprinted, their swords collided again. Charlotte Smoothie, you are one of the 4 generals of the pirates. Why did you appear in there? Drake pirates? Could it be that Ziyun plans to form an alliance with Charlotte Lingaling? You don't need to take care of this. Smoothie raised his sword and blocked Totu's way. Then the long sword was covered with purple light and stabbed at Totu. Shave. Momotu stepped on the ground with one foot and quickly moved away from Smoothie's attack. I won't let you succeed, Smoothie. Our navy is well aware of your abilities. It won't let you exert your strength to squeeze the fruit. After Tota finished speaking, he raised a long knife covered with armed domineering color with both hands, and slashed at Smoothie fiercely. A huge pink sword energy quickly attacked Smoothie. I won't lose. Smoothie slashed down with both hands of the sword, and a huge purple sword aura shot out. hitting Totu's sword aura. Not only for Lord Ziyun, but also for me. Smoothie's slender legs are bent, and he takes a step, which is not inferior to Totu's shaved. The speed came before her. Boom. The swords of the two collided again. That guy, it's not like he can't beat that. I hate it. The Navy. After Smoothie and Momotu fought for a while, Hancock gritted his teeth and looked at the two fighting in Naganika. Although the two of them have not been injured so far, people who have reached Hancock's level can clearly see that Smoothie is already in the opposite direction. There are good swordsmen in the Navy. Ziyun looked at Zanko and said, I heard that she is a candidate for admiral trained by you, and she is indeed pretty good. You still think about the next battle? Zanko glanced at Ziyun. That arm of yours is about to fail. The corners of Ziyun's mouth cracked. I return this sentence to you as well. I hope you can survive the battle between you and Penthesily. Hearing Ziyun's words, he couldn't help frowning, and looked at Penthesily with anxiety. While Ziyun was talking here, Totu's battle was coming to an end. This guy is obviously just a lieutenant general of the Navy. How can he have such strength? Smoothie was waving his long sword with sweat on his forehead. Damn it, I can't be like this anymore. Smoothie swung his sword sharply, momentarily knocking Peach Rabbit away. Then her whole body was covered with purple light. Under the cover of light, Smoothie Mido's height began to shrink rapidly, and didn't stop until he reached about 2 meters in height. And as Smoothie's body shrunk, the long sword in his hand began to emit a violent purple sword aura. Water sword. Smoothie focused his eyes, locked on Tota in front of him, swung his long sword forward with both hands vigorously, and a purple sword energy flew towards Tota quickly. The purple sword energy rubbed against the ground, making a sharp sound. Facing the rushing purple sword energy, Momotu didn't dodge or dodge, stepped on both feet, and rushed forward. The famous knife in his hand was covered with armed color domineering, and quickly swung at the water sword that Smoothie swung. Pierced through. Boom. The purple sword energy that was going forward suddenly stopped under the impact of Totu. How is this possible? Smoothie was shocked. I have won this battle. Tota looked at Smoothie over the sword energy. Her bent feet stomped on the ground again, and the strength of her hands increased again. Laugh. With a flash of pink light on Totu's sword, Smoothie's water sword was split into two and fell towards the sea behind Totu. And Tota didn't slow down, and rushed towards Smoothie, who was temporarily inconvenient to move because the water in his body was sucked out. Boom. Totu's attacking knife finally landed in front of Smoothie's forehead, where a green barrier separated Totu and Smoothie. Page 471. Okay, let's end this battle here. Ziyun looked at Zanko. Well, you have saved your life. This Peach Rabbit, even if his strength is not at the level of a general, he is not far behind. Sorry, Master Ziyun, I failed. The smaller Smoothie came to Ziyun, leaned his head and said. Ziyun smiled, and took out some fruit juices and drinks, as well as chairs and small tables from the treasure house of Babylon. Ziyun put the fruit juice and wine on the small table, and patted the chair he took out. You've tried your best, just sit down and drink some water. Ziyun pointed to the juice and drink and said, the opponent is really strong, so you don't have to worry too much about it. Rather, you also helped me win Devil Fruit and Bbook, didn't you? Master Ziyun, you are too tolerant of her. Hancock looked at Smoothie dissatisfied. If it were me, I would definitely be able to bring you victory. Ziyun shook his head, unable to deny it. In his heart, he doesn't think the current Hancock can beat Peach Rabbit. Well, Hancock, don't be so hard on your companions. My shoulders are sore. If you are free, why don't you give me a massage? Yes, Lord Ziyun. Hearing Ziyun's words, Hancock immediately being distracted, she came behind Ziyun, put her slender and white hands on Ziyun's shoulders and gently pinched. Smoochie, don't just stand, sit down. Get some water. You should be very uncomfortable with this look. Ziyun looked at Smoothie and said, however, the ability to change size and size in this way is really tempting when it comes to matters between men and women. Thinking of this, Ziyun was suddenly full of gratitude to Charlotte Lingerling for sending Smoothie to him, and at the same time, his interest in Smoothie increased a lot. Hearing Ziyun's words, Smoothie nodded, sat down beside Ziyun, picked up the juice and began to drink. And her body began to grow at a speed visible to the naked eye, and soon, after replenishing enough water, Smoothie's height returned to a height of more than 4 meters. Really interesting ability. After experiencing Smoothie's ability up close, Ziyun's interest deepened. Then it's my turn. Penthesily walked to the center of the field, looked at Sengoku, who walked to the open space first, and said, I am the queen of the Amazons, Penthesily, and I will be your opponent. I hope you can think of a warrior and lead me. Give me a real fight. As she said that, Penthesily stretched out her hands, and a spiked hammer suddenly appeared in her hands, and a frenzied aura began to radiate from her body, impacting the surrounding navy and others. Queen of the Amazons. Warring States slowly turned into a golden giant, frowning at Penthesily. The queen of the Amazons should be Boa Hancock. When will it be you? Oh, my Amazon, not this Amazon Lily. Penthesily chuckled. However, I'm not come to talk to you about this. Come and start bloodthirsty with me, hero from the navy. After speaking, Penthesily spun the hammer and jumped straight to Sengoku. So fast. Sengoku widened his eyes. Although he was extremely wary of Penthesilly's strength from the beginning, Sengoku was still surprised when Penthesily took action. Crush it. Penthesily, who was in the air, dragged the hammer and slammed it towards Sengoku. Zango's eyes darkened, and he raised one hand to face the flying iron ball, which was a shock wave. Boom. Under the contact of two powerful forces, immediately, a huge roar erupted. At the same time as the shock wave from Sengoku dissipated, the hammer thrown by Penthesily also flew backwards. It's not over yet. Penthesily pulled forward with the other hand, and at the same time he landed. Another hammer hit Sengoku from the side to his waist. Page 472. Warring States squatted slightly, punched the hammer down, and the hammer hit immediately, fell to the ground. Penthesily was not moved by the fact that Sengoku shot down his own weapon. He stomped on the ground with both feet, flew up, and jumped to Sengoku's head. Penthesily, who jumped in front of Sengoku, stretched his right foot forward, and with a knee, he slammed into Sengoku's defensive hands. Boom. What a heavy force. The retreating Sengoku was surprised. Without waiting for him to sight too much, Penthesily quickly came to him before Sengoku's arm was lowered. Shatter. Penthesily pulled out the two daggers from his waist, and slashed at Sengoku's legs, respectively. Sengoku, arm, laugh. When Penthesily's dagger saw Sengoku's legs, it made a sound of rubbing against each other. Ha ha, interesting. Penthesily took a step, picked up his hammer, spun a punch and threw it towards Sengoku's abdomen. Don't underestimate me. Roar. The domineering palm covered with armed color suddenly grabbed Penthesily's hammer, and then pulled it towards his side. However, unlike the Penthesily flying towards him as expected by the Warring States period, Penthesily who was caught by the weapon remained motionless, instead showing a sneer. Penthesily pinched the chain connected to the hammer with both hands, and her hot magic power was transmitted to the hammer along the chain, bursting out a fiery flame. Sengoku, who was scorched by the flames of magic, had to temporarily release his hands. Penthesily, who had regained control of the hammer, did not give Sengoku a chance to rest at all. He charged forward and approached Sengoku. At the same time, the hammer in his hand began to attack Sengoku from all angles. Hee, ha ha ha. Die after being crushed, cried Penthesily. Don't underestimate the ex-marshal of the Navy. Sengoku roared angrily, gave up using his fists to block the incoming hammer, stretched out his hands to face Penthesily, and a huge shockwave attacked Penthesily. The corners of Penthesily's mouth were split, outlining a crazy smile. Boom. Penthesily raised her right foot and slammed on the shockwave. Penthesily's fiery magic power collided with the shockwave and dissipated each other in the air. At this time, Penthesily's hammer also hit Sengoku. The sharp teeth. Even Sengoku, who used the ability of the devil fruit, could not completely resist it. A trace of blood continuously flowed out from the wound caused by the hammer. Is it just this level of strength? Is this level of strength the figure who once stood at the top of the entire Navy? It's really disappointing. Penthesily frowned, and pulled the hammer back with both hands. In this case, you can die for me in pieces! Exclamation mark. The hammer that was pulled behind Penthesily more than doubled in size in an instant, and blazing flames burned on it. Penthesily jumped into the air and came to the top of Sengoku, and under the power of Penthesily, two hammers smashed to the top of Sengoku's head. The speed was so fast that the Warring States had no time to dodge. In this case, you should take a good look at my strength. At the same time that Zango thought in his mind, the golden light that illuminated the entire field condensed in Zango's hands, and he shot at the hammer that hit him. Boom. There was a violent explosion, and huge flames and flashes erupted where the attacks of Sengoku and Penthesily collided, and the strong wind kept blowing the hair of Hi and others. And when these strong winds reached Xian and the others, they were all blocked by his telekinetic power. The governor of the Warring States period. The battle is so difficult. Having just defeated Smoothie, the disheveled Tota stared wide-eyed. Why, every person who came out of Blue Star has such a powerful power. I'm also curious about this question. Why did people like you not send any news on the sea before? He looked at Xian and said. Xian glanced at he. The world is big. This world has never lacked strong people, but some strong people have not advertised their power. Page 473. Do you want to say that you are such a person? Momotu interjected. Since you have such power, why do you want to do evil? If you join their Navy, use this power to maintain world peace. Is it to maintain peace, or to maintain the rule of the Tanlong people? Xian looked at Toto and interrupted her directly. Don't tell me, do you think I should contribute my strength to the world government, to their Tanlong people, to help them catch more slaves for their entertainment? Sorry, I don't have the idea of joining the lackey organization that helps the executioner. Chapter 322,100, Hero. Let's end in my resentment, add more for M. Hearing Xian's words, Tota couldn't help but fell silent. The matter of the Tanlong people has always been a knot in the Navy's heart. While not agreeing with them, they have to serve them. And this has also caused many kind-hearted people to stand on the opposite side of the Navy and the world government. Even so, we are in order to maintain world peace. Toto shook his head, looked at Xian and said, and you, since you debuted, the sea has become, how chaotic, do you know? Hee. The change of times is always accompanied by some labor pains. Xian shook his head. We have the power to make this world develop in a better direction. Why should we maintain the rule of Tan Longren and those idiot pigs? A group of pirates want to make this world a better place. If you say that, will anyone believe it? Toto frowned and said, being a pirate is only a temporary interest of mine, and there are still many of us who are not pirates. It's just that you gave them the identity of pirates. Xian said with a smile. As for whether it can make this world better, you will know soon. Your navy should be well prepared for that time. Ha. Xian turned his head to look at Fujitora, who lowered his head and said nothing. However, I really didn't expect you to join the navy at this time. Since you have true justice in your heart, why don't you join the Revolutionary Army? Or, do you think that with our existence, you can make the world a better place if you are in their navy? Xian shook his head, standing on the opposite side of us. After all, you don't have that much leisure to carry out your justice. The world government will only treat you as a loyal dog against us. Forget it. You choose the path. You can do whatever you want. Xian cast a glance at him. According to what I thought at the beginning, your life should be buried here. After all, you are the one who took action against Daughter's Island in person. You have to thank you very much. Toto helped you save your life. Fujitora smiled. At this time, Penthesile's roar reached Xian's ears. Xianzuan looked and found that Penthesile had put away his hammer at this moment, and even the double swords around his waist had disappeared. But his whole body was ignited with blood like flames. Hee. It looks like this battle should be over. Xian laughed. Hearing Xian's words, everyone in the navy immediately focused on Sengoku and Penthesile in the arena. At the same time, they also sensed an extremely dangerous aura from Penthesile. This is especially true of the battle standing opposite Penthesile. Warring states seemed to feel that the Penly standing in front of him was no longer a woman, not even a human being. Standing in front of him is a terrifying coming. Zango's eyes were fixed, and his strength was pushed to the extreme. Dazzling golden light radiated from his body, and at the same time, his muscles became more bulging, like pure shattered solid metal. In the final analysis, he is just a person who is afraid of his feet. Penthesile closed her eyes and said, think about defense all the time, and don't even take their initiative to attack a few times. I'm tired. I'll use this trick to send you to another world. Following Penthesile's words, the bloody flames around her suddenly shrank back into her body, and an astonishing aura erupted from her body. Page 474. Penthesile opened her eyes. At this moment, her originally beautiful eyes became very strange and dangerous. The white part of the eyes turned completely black, and that black seemed to be formed by their coagulation of extremely deep blood. Kill. At this moment, Penthesile seemed to have lost his mind, and rushed towards the warring states frantically. The distance that had been extended by the warring states was reduced to 0 by Penthesile in an instant. Hero, let's end in resentment. With Penthesile's roar, her twin queens turned into death-defying ones, and quickly swung towards Sengoku. What's the real deal with this power? As soon as it touched Penthesile's attack, Sengoku's arm immediately twitched. He was scratched with deep and bone-deep wounds, and a large amount of blood sprayed out directly. Damn it, why did the power suddenly increase so much? Warring states roared in their hearts. But Penthesile's attack has only just begun. Penthesile continuously clawed at Sengoku from all angles, attacking Sengoku in a random manner, and soon, Sengoku's defensive hands were hanging powerlessly on both sides. Its golden abdomen was completely exposed in front of Penthesile. Penthesile's attack also hit Sengoku unceremoniously, and the navy watching the battle only saw a lot of blood spraying from Sengoku's body continuously. When Penthesile's attack progressed to a certain extent, Penthesile retreated abruptly, and warring states knelt powerlessly in front of Penthesile. Just when everyone thought that Penthesile's attack was over, Penthesile charged forward again, and inserted both palms into Sengoku's body without hindrance, and the blood of Sengoku splashed out like a fountain. Warring states. The great inspector of the warring states period, Momotu and Crane, who were not under control, were shocked when they saw the wounds on Sengoku's internal organs, and rushed towards him. However, as soon as they made a move, Xian's Sword of Oath of Victory and Sword of King of Brilliance were inserted in front of the two of them respectively. One exudes dazzling golden light, and the other exudes galloping red thunder, as if the peach rabbit and the crane move, their energy will lean back on their bodies. On the other side, Penthesile let out a low roar. Then, her eyes slowly returned to normal eyes, and the whites of the eyes reappeared. Looking at the grumbling warring states in front of him, Penthesile quickly drew out his palm. Sengoku, who lost the support of Penthesile's palm, could no longer stabilize his body, and fell heavily to the ground. Blood was still continuously draining from his body. Seeing the tragedy of the Warring States period, all navies became uneasy in their impression. As an active figure in the last era, Warring States has never been injured so badly, even in the face of Golden Lion and Kaido attacking the Navy headquarters. He was never injured like this. You geese should calm down a little bit. Ziyun cast a glance at Hai beside him. You rush over now, but you won't be able to help anything, and you will also catch yourself. Momotu, Crane, if you take another step forward, the sword in front of you will be stuck in your heart. Ziyun's indifferent voice made Hai and the others stiffen. In the end, it's only to this extent. Penthesily looked at the dying Sengoku lying on the ground with a bit of regret. Empty has great power, but he is always timid when fighting. You worry too much. And you are not a qualified fighter. However, fighting with you still made me a little bit interested. Out of respect for you, I'd better give you a ride. Penthesily drew out her dagger, and was about to stab Sengoku in the back of the head. Don't want. Seeing that his friend for many years was about to be killed, he hurriedly stopped him. Penthesily turned her head to look at the crane. Although he is not dead yet, there is no way to recover from such an injury. Rather than letting him bleed to death like this, it is better to let him die in battle. Don't you think so? It can still be saved. Page 475. He turned his head to look at Ziyun. Please Ziyun, we will give you the devil fruit and Bailey you want. Please let us rescue the Warring States. Ziyun glanced at the rest of the Navy. Do you have the ability to heal him? Ziyun smiled, and waved back all the treasures he had used to block the Navy. If you want to be saved, save it. Ziyun waved his hand and said, Warring States. After the sword of promised victory in front of him disappeared, Crane rushed to Sengoku in a hurry. Crane stretched out his hands and turned Sengoku over, and what he saw was the scene of his being disemboweled. Through his cut chest, he could see his heartbeat that was constantly slowing down. A part of its liver and one lung have been dug out. The great inspector of the Warring States period. Tota covered her mouth and turned her head, unable to bear to see the tragic situation of their Warring States period. And the other navies, including Fujitora, who resumed operations, also looked gloomy, and tightly clenched their fists with both hands. If it wasn't for the fact that Ziyun and the others were too powerful, they would have launched an attack on Ziyun right now. How so? Although he already knew that Warring States must be seriously injured, but after seeing their tragedy of Warring States, Crane was still very surprised, and even tears welled up in his eyes. How about it? Did you give up? Regardless of the gritted teeth of the vice-admirals, Ziyun came to the side of the crane and said, this kind of situation will inevitably happen during the battle. You should let him explain the funeral before he has swallowed his last breath. Ziyun, you have a solution. I've heard that your Dr. Tsunade is very skilled in medicine. Please help the Warring States Inspector. Tota looked at Ziyun and bowed sincerely. Please help him. The other sailors also felt a sense of helplessness when they saw Tota bowing to a wanted criminal. After all, the ground is one of the pillars of the Navy. If interceding with a wanted criminal can save the life of the Warring States, they are willing to do it. Please. Except for Crane, who is still struggling with his wounds in the Warring States period, the rest of the admirals all bowed to Ziyun. It's also thanks to the ghost spider, who died just now. If they see a scene like yours, I don't know what kind of face they will have. What kind of expression would he have if that guy Sakaski died? Ziyun said. The faces of the sailors with their heads down became ugly. However, it is a pity that our doctor did not come to Daughter Island, and we will disappoint you. Ziyun said lightly. You can try to intercede with Hancock and ask her doctor to come and see for you. I'm not interested in having my people treat people who are trying to destroy my country. Hancock said indifferently. Moreover, such an injury, my ship's doctor couldn't treat it either. It would be better to say that the vitality of the Warring States period is indeed quite tenacious, even though it has not died after being injured like this. Please, Your Excellency Ziyun, you must have a way, right? Peach Rabbit said in a low voice. The Navy can't lose Sengoku Grand Inspector now. The matter of the Navy has nothing to do with me. It would be better to say that with the death of a warring country, I also lost an opponent. Although Warring States is dead, the ransom may be less, but I don't care. Ziyun waved his hand, and took Hancock and others to float in the direction of Daughter's Island. I'll give you time to bid farewell to Warring States, and then I'll take you into the cell on Daughter's Island. If you want to escape, go to that world with Sengoku, and many more. Tota got down to his knees, knelt on the ground, and took a standard soil seat facing Ziyun. Your Excellency, please help Zango. If I can save the life of the Warring States Inspector, I am willing to be your person. And, as long as I don't fight the Navy, I'm willing to obey all your orders. Giant Crane turned his head and looked at Tota in surprise. You are crazy. The rest of the Navy also looked at Tota in shock. Page 476. Ziyun turned his head and looked at Tota. Do you want to save the life of the Warring States on your own terms? I have to say, you have successfully caught my attention. Giant, what are you doing? I don't allow you to do this. The Crane roared loudly. Sister, the Navy can't lose the Warring States Inspector now. Crane lowered his head and said, if you lose him at this time, let alone Crane, Blue Star, contending, but the four emperors will become more unscrupulous, and the sea will become more chaotic. Even so, he wanted to prevent Tota from saving the warring states in this way, but facing his old friend lying on the ground whose breath was weakening, he really couldn't say. Ziyan rubbed his chin, and after thinking for a while, he replied, "It seems that I am interested in beautiful women. It is really deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. However, controlling a peach rabbit with great potential in the Navy, no matter how I look at it, I am not at a loss." Ziyan slowly floated in front of Totu. "Since this is the case, I will give it a try. If it succeeds, you will have to say goodbye to your Navy status." "Haha. Yes, I am willing, Your Excellency Ziyan. Please hurry up and rescue the great inspector of their warring states. Tota raised his head and said firmly. Giant Crane looked at his younger sister with a complicated face, and wanted to say something, but he couldn't say it in the end. The rest of the Navy also bowed their heads deeply, feeling deep remorse for their own incompetence. And Fujitora, who directly caused this situation, even doubted his ability. "Get out of the way, Crane." The same dagger as Jack's appeared in Ziyan's hand. "After all, I'm not a professional doctor, and it's the first time I've used this ability. If this delay continues, Zango may really die." Hearing Ziyan's words, he quickly stood aside. Ziyan bent down, squatted in front of Zango, and twirled the dagger in his hand. "It's really serious. I don't know if Jack's surgical ability will work." While thinking in Ziyan's mind, surgery quickly flashed through his mind. Knowledge. Afterwards, Ziyan's two daggers quickly flew over Zango's body, and at the same time, more blood began to spurt from Zango's body. In the eyes of everyone in the Navy, Ziyan seemed to be hastening the death of the warring states. "Your Excellency Ziyan." Tota stepped forward, wanting to question Ziyan. Penthesili quickly appeared behind Ziyan, blocking the steps of the others. "Don't disturb the master." Penthesili's own hammer appeared in his hand. "Otherwise, die." "Don't worry, Momotu, and other marines." Although the appearance is not guaranteed, but this is also a life-saving surgery. As long as I add a little magic power, there will always be a way to bring the warring states back, Ziyan said. Hearing Ziyan's words, the marines temporarily calmed down, looking at Penthesili warily, and at the same time hoping that Ziyan was really saving the warring states. "Okay, it's finally done." Ziyan touched the coldness on his forehead, stood up and said, "Sure enough, destruction is much easier than recovery. I really don't want to do something like this a second time." Ziyan shook his head, feeling a little tired mentally. At the same time, the effect of Ziyan's surgical operation is also obvious. With the support of magic power, the unstoppable blood on Zango's body has stopped flowing outwards, and at the same time, Zango's abdomen, which was cut open by Penthesili, has also been sewn up by Ziyan. "Is Sengoku all right?" Seeing that Zango's expression had stabilized, he came to Ziyan's side and said, "My life is saved. But if you want to recover completely, it depends on how good your Navy doctors are." Ziyan turned his head to look at everyone in the Navy. After all, this guy from the warring states has had one lung and part of his liver removed. Maybe, even if he recovers later, his strength will drop a lot. However, if you have a scientist like Punk, you can consider getting him a mechanical lung or something. Haha. However, you must ask Sakaski to take you back quickly. If the warring states' recovery is not good by then, don't blame me. Page 477. Ziyan took out 2 sea stone handcuffs from the treasure house and threw them to he and Fujitora. "You two, put on these handcuffs and go to the cell on Daughter Island with me." Hearing Ziyan's words, Fujitora and the two put on handcuffs in silence. "Peach Rabbit, distribute these medicines to all the sailors." "Of course, you have to take them too." Ziyan threw a medicine jar at Totu. "Don't worry, it's not a serious medicine, but it will make you a little weak and lose your strength." After receiving the medicine thrown by Ziyan, Tota hesitated a little, and then distributed their medicine to the other navies. After the Marine side, they also ate it honestly. Then, Hancock, wait until you arrange for some people to be locked up in cells temporarily. Seeing that the Marines had swallowed the medicine Tsunade prepared, Ziyan turned his head and said to Hancock, "Don't worry. They won't be able to show their strength within a period of time." After eating the medicine that Tsunade specially prepared for them without any precautions, they will also be weak for a while. Hancock nodded. "Okay, Master Ziyan, arrange for someone to take them into the cell." After Ziyan nodded, all the people present using telekinetic power flew towards her daughter. "Great. The Navy and they've finally been dealt with." "Is that a powerful man the snake's marriage partner? However, is that a man? He didn't. I have breasts. Anyway, being able to solve such a big trouble is indeed the man that Lady Shijie likes." Seeing Ziyan, Hancock and others flying towards the direction of the Daughter Island, their Amazon female warriors immediately, there was a great cheer. Under their expectant gaze, Ziyan and the others quickly landed in front of them. "You guys, hurry up and take these people to prison, and remember to keep them under strict supervision." Facing his own Ziming, Hancock changed his state when facing Ziyan, and became extremely majestic. Yes, Master Snake Fairy. The female soldiers acted immediately, grabbed the Marines, and walked towards the cell. Well, Your Excellency Ziyun, do I also want to go to the cell together? Seeing the two female warriors clasping their hands and removing their long knives, Toto hurriedly said to Ziyun. If not, Ziyun looked at Toto amusedly. Anyway, you're an enemy too. It's impossible to let you wander around in Hancock's territory. That, I can look down on Your Excellency Ziyun. Please keep me by your side. Toto helped her hair, half closed her eyes, and drew a seductive smile at the corner of her mouth. You rude person, do you think Master Ziyun would be interested in something like you? Don't wait. Ziyun spoke. Hancock blocked Toto's sight. Master Ziyun, I will personally serve. You can stay in the cell for a while. No, Hancock. Ziyun patted Hancock's shoulder lightly. Since he doesn't want to be with her companion, let her follow me. I'm quite interested in her methods. Since it's Lord Ziyun's idea, then Hancock has no objection. Hancock said shyly. Ziyun looked at Hancock and said with a smile, don't worry, she is far inferior to you in my heart. Real. Hancock looked at Ziyun happily. Ziyun nodded seriously. Okay, take them down first, and then take me around your territory, Ziyun said. Hancock immediately, according to Ziyun's order, he asked his own people to do things. Then he took Ziyun's arm with both hands, and walked towards the center of Daughter Island. Smoothie and Peach Rabbit followed closely behind, while Penthesily mingled with the other female warriors and wandered around the island with the female warriors. Cough, cough. Warring States, you're awake. In the cell of Gull Island, Crane heard Sengoku's voice and looked over with concern. Where am I? Page 478. Warring States looked at the Crane and said in a daze. You forgot, you were seriously injured by that, Penthesily, and now we are imprisoned by Ziyun. He looked at Warring States and said. Hearing Crane's words, Sengoku immediately recalled the scene of being injured by Penthesily's noble phantasm. I remember. Warring States worked hard, looked at the sutured scars on his body. I thought I would be killed by that, Penthesily, but it looks like I survived. Hearing the words of the Warring States period, Crane immediately. Silence. After all, the survival of the Warring States was traded for his own sister. What's wrong, Crane? Seeing Crane's expression suddenly changed. Very bad, Zango asked. Is it because we are locked in a cell now? Haha. Don't worry. Even though that guy Ziyun is hateful, since we've been arrested, we can go back only if we pay him enough ransom. Although Warring States didn't like the fact that they had to pay Ziyun a ransom, they hoped to use this to comfort he. By the way, where is that guy Momotu? Sengoku looked around and found that except for Toto, the rest of the Navy were here. Speaking of which, thanks to her beating Smoothie, otherwise, we will really suffer. Crane, the Navy, well, why don't you talk? Seeing that his colleagues remained silent, Warring States couldn't help having a bad premonition. What happened? Where did Momotu go? Warring States grabbed the Crane's shoulder and asked. Facing the problem of the Warring States period, Crane moved his head away. Hey, Fujitora, tell me what happened. Seeing that Juru didn't answer, Sengoku grabbed Fujitora by the collar and asked. Fujitora, hey, you should tell me. Warring States roared. Cough, cough. Warring States, your injury hasn't healed yet. Don't get excited yet. The Crane held back the Warring States and said. Crane, tell me honestly what happened. Is there something wrong with Toto? Sengoku asked worriedly. Hey, he let out a long sigh. You were seriously injured and you were about to die. Toto asked Ziyun to save your life at his own expense. Now, she has reached Ziyun's side. What? PFFT. Sengoku, are you okay? Seeing Zango spat out blood, he quickly supported Zango's body. Hateful. Zango struggled to walk through the door of the room, and slammed his fist on the iron railing. I want to see Ziyun. You go and inform me. The female soldiers outside the cell gave Zango an indifferent look and ignored them. For these people who were planning to destroy their country just now, the soldiers of Daughter Island have no good feelings for them at all. If Hancock hadn't asked them not to harm the people in the Navy, they only need to be strictly guarded. At this moment, their swords have already been inserted into the bodies of Haijun and others. Damn it. Didn't you hear what I said? I want to see Ziyun. Zango pulled up his strength and punched the iron railing. But what he got in return was that he vomited blood again. Warring States, don't get excited. Toto may not be fine. After we go out, we are trying to find a way to get Toto back from Ziyun. Bring it on. Page 479. The Crane supported the Warring States and said, I believe that as long as we are willing to pay a little more, Ziyun is also willing to let Toto back. Damn it, Crane, why don't you stop Toto? She is your sister. Zango's expression was low. It's better to let me die than to let her exchange for my safety. Please don't say that. Great Inspector of the Warring States period. At this time, Momotu's voice came from outside the cell. Sengoku, Crane, and other navies hurriedly looked in the direction of the sound. Giant, are you okay? Ziyun didn't do anything to you? Crane grabbed the iron bars with both hands and said, don't worry, sister. Ziyun didn't do anything to me. Peach Rabbit shook his head. Peach Rabbit, Why are you doing this? Sengoku frowned and looked at Toto. Inspector at the Warring States period, in the current form. The Navy cannot lose you, and I can be abandoned. Toto looked at Warring States. As a wise general, you must understand. Are you kidding me? You are still young, and your strength will continue to grow. Even if you are not as good as me now, you will surpass me in the future. And Warring States touched his chest. After this battle, it may be difficult for me to return to their previous level. At this time, you are more important. As long as the Warring States Inspector is still in the Navy, it will form a deterrent to the pirates, which I can't do. Peach Rabbit shook his head and said, let's not talk about this now, Sengoku. Giant. Crane said, Giant, you came here at this time? Did Ziyun ask you to convey something? Toto nodded. After Hancock took Ziyun to wander around the Daughter's Island for a while, he returned to the palace here, where Ziyun told me the ransom for returning you. Ziyun asked me to tell you, if you want him to let you go, you need the Navy to give him 4 devil fruits, plus 100 billion berries. What? Sengoku widened his eyes. Originally, Sengoku was a little lucky when he heard the 4 devil fruits, but the 10 billion berry later made Sengoku's wound start to ache again. So many? What does that guy want so many berries? Crane frowned and said, isn't that guy always more interested in devil fruits? Why is he more interested in money this time? I don't know, but I always feel that they are about to make a big move. Toto shook his head and said, I also fight for the Navy, hoping to pay a little less ransom, but did he not agree? Crane said. Toto sighed, and continued. Ziyun said, I'm still speaking for the Navy, so I don't really want to join him, so let me come back and take the life of the Warring States Inspector, and then let me go back with you. That guy. Warring States punched the wall. Ziyun, this guy seems to be extra tough this time, and it's a bit different from what you and Carp described him before. Crane frowned and said, sorry, probably the meteorite I pulled down on Daughter's Island angered him. Fujitora said apologetically. It's not your fault, Fujitora, it's the decision of the Navy as a whole. Zango shook his head and said, Momotu took out a phone bug and handed it into the cell. Your phone bugs have been confiscated. Use this phone bug to contact Sakazuki at the Navy headquarters. No matter what, you need to leave here as soon as possible, and the injury of the Warring States Inspector also needs to be treated as soon as possible. What about you? Do you really want to stay here, Toto? Warring States frowned and looked at Toto and said. Peach Rabbit lowered his head, looking a little depressed. Page 480. Governor of the Warring States period. Do you think our Navy can really compete with Ziyun? And there, Blue Star, behind him? Peach Rabbit said quietly. Hearing Momotu's words, Sengoku and the other navies on the side fell silent. In the long-term struggle with Ziyun and his party, the Navy and the world government have not won even one victory, and they have suffered huge losses every time. The world government even lost the 5 old stars and several top zero agents. Coupled with being crushed by Ziyun and others this time, their confidence was even more impacted. Ziyun's strength and the previous intelligence are completely two extremes. He simply possesses a mighty force beyond this era. Just now, so many of us didn't even realize what happened, and we were subdued by Ziyun. Thinking of what happened just now, Tota still has lingering fears. Although the Warring States Governor and I have not been controlled, if he wants to, we still can't escape. So, I wonder if we can use another way to deal with Ziyun. Momotu looked up at he, sister, you should know what I'm good at. Proficient in geisha skills, entertain peachy guests to lure out all pirates. I haven't done many things like this before. So, are you planning to use this method to deal with Ziyun? Crane interrupted Toto. It's too dangerous. That guy has so many powerful partners beside him. You have also seen the power of the Amazon Queen, and she is not the only one who is as strong as her. Besides, beside him is the #1 beauty, Hancock. It would be very difficult for you to lure him out alone. I know, sister. Tota nodded. I discovered this when I was with him just now. I mean, since we can't fight him with strength, can we use another method to fight him? I'm thinking, if I can gain his trust and influence his decision in getting along with him, will I be able to play a positive role in the Navy? After all, knowing so far, the information that Ziyun likes beautiful women is still credible. I believe that the means of geisha skills can still play a role in Ziyun. Did you really decide to do this, Giant? He said with a low face. I've made up my mind, sister. Tota nodded. Besides, I can't leave here now. After all, if you let me go back, the Warring States Inspector. Sengoku clenched his fists tightly. Okay, sister, and everyone, I have to leave now. I also hope that you can get out of this dangerous place as soon as possible. After finishing speaking, Momotu gave a slight salute to the crane, then turned and walked towards Hancock's palace. Giant. The crane silently watched the back of Tota going away. Anyway, we still have to leave this place first, and then we can discuss the matter of rescuing Momotu. Sengoku sighed, picked up the phone bug. I'll tell Sakazuki about this first. Saying that, Sengoku dialed the number of Sakazuki in the Navy headquarters. And Sakazuki, who has been standing by the phone bug, waiting for the report from Zango and others, quickly connected the phone. Hello, this is Saikulski. This is the Warring States period. Unfortunately, Sarkarski, we lost, and now we are locked in there. Cell on Daughter's Island. Hearing Sengoku's words, Sarkarski frowned. It's just Daughter's Island. With your strength, it shouldn't be a problem. And even Empress Hancock isn't in Daughter's Island. That's where the problem lies. Karski. Warring States side. When we attacked Daughter's Island, Ziyun brought Hancock and others to Daughter's Island and killed us. We were defeated by Ziyun and his party, and I was also seriously injured by a queen named Benthesili. If it wasn't for Totu, I might have died. Having said this, Warring States paused. Now, Ziyun and the others demand that the Navy take out 4 devil fruits, plus 10 billion Baileys, before they are willing to release us. What? Saikulski stood up straight from his chair. Page 481. This is simply impossible. Calm down, Saikulski. Navy. We need power here now. Jura said from the side. Sengoku, Fujitora, and so many lieutenant generals of the Navy headquarters. The Navy cannot afford such a loss. Sarkarski frowned. I will discuss this matter with the world government, regardless of, how do you say, I will get you out as soon as possible. After speaking, Sarkarski hung up the phone. Although he is unwilling to pay so much Bailey to Ziyun's party, as Jura said, the Navy needs the strength of Fujitora and others, so Sarkarski has to compromise. Ziyun. Saikulski punches the desk hard. On the other side, Momotyi left the cell and returned to the palace on Girl Island. When she walked into the hall, she originally wanted to look for Ziyun. But the only thing that caught her eyes was Benthesili, who was eating fruit at the dining table. Hello, Queen Benthesili. Hearing Momotyi's voice, Benthesili glanced this way. It's you. Why, what the master entrusted to you, I've done it. Yes, I have conveyed all the matters Master Ziyun told me to the Navy. Benthesili nodded. In that case, let's eat here. Tota looked at the chair Benthesili was pointing at, hesitated for a while, then shook his head, and said, No, Queen Benthesili, if possible, I would like to know where Lord Ziyun is now. If possible, if so, I want to serve her as best I can. No need. Benthesili put down the wine glass heavily. The master is now leaving the bathhouse of this palace, served by Hancock and Smoothie. There is no need for you to disturb. This is also what Ziyun told him. However, you are very conscious of being a prisoner. As a prisoner, it is natural to do anything for the victor. Benthesili praised. However, I hope you don't have any other bad plans. I will take good care of you every day you stay with us. If you want to harm Ziyun, I will cut you in two. Saying that, Benthesili looked at Momotyi with a dangerous smile. Don't worry, I will do my job well. Peach Rabbit said quickly. Your strength is not bad. On the Golden Deer, there are indeed a few people whose strength is not as good as yours. If you don't want to stay in this weak state, don't try to trouble those people. Benthesili said, Ziyun's perception will often be placed on them. I hope you don't do stupid things. Of course. Momotyi nodded. Queen Benthesili, if possible, can you tell me why someone as powerful as you is willing to follow Ziyun? With your strength, no matter where you are placed, you are someone who can dominate a sea. His strength deserves my respect, and I am very optimistic about him. Is this reason enough? Benthesili glanced at Totu. His strength is far beyond your imagination. The deeper you know about him, the more you can feel his unfathomable ability. Even I don't know how powerful he is. Maybe, stay with him long enough for Drake to know. To be honest, I really have a lot of sympathy for the Navy and the world government who are his people. Facing such an opponent, you are far from being able to match, and facing our companions who follow him. Then, Master Ziyun, what kind of purpose does he have? Why is he targeting the Navy and the world government like that? Peach Rabbit said. Hey, do you want to get information from me? Benthesili shook her head, and said indifferently, isn't the fact clear? Master, he doesn't like the world government, so he intends to destroy it. As for me, as long as I have a strong opponent, that's enough. However, after destroying the world government, what benefits can he get? This will only make this world more chaotic. If so, it will also have an impact on Lord Ziyun's territory. After you stay by Ziyun's side for a long time, you should change your mind. Page 482. Benthesili took a sip of her wine and stood up. I went out to exercise. If you want to rest, you can find any room here. This is Hancock's permission. Of course, she doesn't want you to disturb her and Ziyun. Will my mind change? The story of Ziyun since his debut flashed through Totu's mind, and he thought about it silently. Inside the Daughter Island Palace, in the bathhouse dedicated to Empress Hancock, the hot water at a suitable temperature is in contact with the cold air, forming a little white smoke floating in the bath. In the pool, the bright red rose petals float on the water surface, forming a unique aesthetic feeling with the surrounding cloudy air. But today, this bathing pool, where only Hancock could bathe alone, was never allowed to set foot in the past, but it ushered in a special guest. Well, Master Ziyun, are you still satisfied with the environment here? Hancock, who had taken off his cheongsam, walked behind Ziyun with his snow-white, slender feet and asked. Of course, it's pretty good. Supporting both sides with both hands, Ziyun, who was close to the wall of the bath in their north, opened his eyes. I like it very much. Great. The corners of Hancock's mouth turned up, and he stretched out his jade feet to bite into their pool water, with little ripples following Hancock's entry. Looking at the beautiful Hancock in the misty white smoke, Ziyun couldn't help reaching out and stroking her beautiful black hair. Master Ziyun, let me wipe your back for you. Holding a white towel in his arms, Hancock said with a blushing face. Okay. Ziyun nodded with a smile, turned around, lay down on the edge of the bath, and showed his strong back in front of Hancock. Hancock stepped forward with brisk steps, pressed the towel on the north of Ziyun with both hands, and wiped it gently. Master Ziyun, come and have a glass of juice. Smoothie's brisk voice came from above Ziyun. Ziyun raised his head and followed Smoothie's smooth black calf all the way up. Seeing Ziyun's eyes resting on his body, Smoothie blushed, but at the same time he was a little proud. After all, in front of a beauty like Hancock, Ziyun will still be fascinated by himself. Smoothie held the fruit juice he made with his ability, and under Ziyun's slightly regretful gaze, he knelt down with both feet. Master Ziyun, try it, Smooth said. With the juice in his hand, Ziyun quickly changed his mind from the regretful look, and when he took the fruit, he couldn't stop looking at Smoothie's upper body. I have to say, you look even more beautiful without your hat and boa, Smoothie. Ziyun took a sip of the juice and said with a smile. Hearing Ziyun's praise, the corners of Smoothie's mouth couldn't help but curl up. Thank you for the compliment. Seeing Ziyun being attracted by Smoothie, Hancock frowned slightly. Damn it, this is obviously my place, but this woman actually came to disturb my chance to be alone with Mr. Ziyun. Hancock gritted his teeth, threw away the towel in his hand, put his hands around Ziyun's waist, got close to Ziyun, and wiped Ziyun with himself. Feeling the comfort on his back, Ziyun couldn't help heaving a sigh of relief. Feeling Ziyun's satisfied expression, the flushed Hancock couldn't help but glance at Smoothie provocatively. In this regard, Smoothie just smiled lightly. For her now, she doesn't care how many female companions Ziyun has around her, as long as Ziyun can thank her brothers and sisters for taking care of her because of her existence, she will be satisfied and willing to pay anything for Ziyun for this. After enjoying Hancock's massage for a while, Ziyun looked at Smoothie again. Smoochie, are you really willing to follow me forever? Seeing Smoothie being honest with him, Ziyun also began to think about his attitude towards Smoothie in the future. Smoothie nodded. No matter what Lord Ziyun wants to do in the future, whether it's defeating the 4 emperors or destroying the navy, I'm willing to stand by Lord Ziyun's side. I just hope that Master Ziyun can take care of my brothers and sisters. Page 483. Smoothie stepped into the bath, which was barely deep enough to cover her calves. Smoothie had to bend down so the water could spread over his upper body. Is that so? Since this is the case, I have to treat you as a partner. Ziyun looked at Smoothie, who looked at him expectantly and said, thanks. Hearing Ziyun's words, Smoothie showed a smile that moved Ziyun's heart. Please also let me wipe your body for you. With that said, Smoothie stretched out his hands to Ziyun. Seeing the direction in which Smoothie's hands were stretched out, Hancock, who was leaning against Ziyun's back, suddenly frowned, and the hands around Ziyun's waist suddenly moved down one by one, and they clenched tightly, blocking Smoothie. Hands. Cool. Facing Hancock's tender hands, Ziyun couldn't help making a comfortable sound. The morning sun shines on the land of the Amazon lily, and the female warriors on the island get up one after another to start their daily exercise. Some fighters even took the initiative to follow in Penthesile's footsteps and learn some of her training skills. For them, Penthesile has a very high degree of fit with Daughter Island, both in terms of character and fighting style. In addition, Penthesile is strong enough to defeat the former admiral of the navy and their strength of the warring states, which makes Penthesile highly respected by the warriors of Daughter Island. Therefore, the female warriors all hope to be taught by Penthesile. Facing the enthusiasm of the female warriors, Penthesile seemed to see her former Amazon companions, so she was also happy to teach them. In terms of the navy, Sengoku and others in the cell have been in a state of guilt and anxiety because of Totu, although in the end Sakazuki told them through the phone bug that the world government and the navy are willing to allocate funds for this ransom, and the ship carrying the ransom has already rushed towards Daughter Island at the fastest speed, but they still can't recover their mood. On the other hand, Tota was also in her own room, thinking about how to get along with Zuyan and his companions all night long, and she still hasn't fallen asleep until now. In stark contrast to Hai and others, it was Ziyun. In the gentle township last night, Ziyun had a wonderful dream. Under the light of fireflies, Hancock's snow-white skin and Smoothie's healthy and dark skin are, in stark contrast. 2 people, one small and one big, serve Ziyun at the same time, which also makes Ziyun experience the ultimate and special happiness. You are awake, Lord Ziyun. Seeing Ziyun lying in his arms opened his eyes. Smoothie showed a gentle smile. You look so pretty when you smile like that. Smoothie. Ziyun buried his head in Smoothie's arms and arched. Combined with your height, I have the feeling of facing a big sister, and I am like a child. If Lord Ziyun is willing, I'd be happy to act like this, Smoothie said shyly. After confirming the relationship with Ziyun, Smoothie's heart was completely imprinted with Ziyun's figure, and he was full of good feelings for this powerful and petite man in front of him. Hee, I'll take care of you from now on. Ziyun smiled, and then wanted to stand up. Master Ziyun, you sweated so much last night, you should take a bath. Smoothie stood up, stretched out his hands, hugged Ziyun, and pressed his front tightly to Ziyun. Hancock is still here, rest, let me wipe your back alone this time. Last night, I was blocked by Hancock and failed to wash your body properly. I am very concerned. As he said that, Smoothie took a special look at the place that was protected by Hancock last night. Also, Master Ziyun, if you want, I can grow bigger, Smoothie said with a smile. In the bathhouse, I also use my ability to absorb at will, making my body bigger. I think Lord Ziyun will like it. Well, it really needs to be washed. Hearing Ziyun couldn't stop nodding. What are you waiting for, Smoothie? Let's go. Now. Okay, Lord Ziyun. Smoothie smiled, hugged Ziyun and walked towards the bath, as if she really became a sister-type character. Hey, Smoothie, when cleaning, try to make your body smaller. Outside the door, Ziyun's voice came out. Smoothie, as you wish, Lord Ziyun. Lord Ziyun, I still need my body. In the room, Hancock turned over, closed his eyes, and whispered in his dream with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Page 484. Master Ziyun, you have finally come out. In the hall, Totu, who had waited anxiously for Ziyun all morning, saw Ziyun and Smoothie appear, and hurriedly came to Ziyun and said, the warships sent by the Navy in exchange for warring states have arrived at the outskirts of Daughter Island, and are waiting for you to make a transaction. Yesterday, warring states and Crane told Sarkarski about the battle with Ziyun and Benthasili. While shocked by the power of Ziyun and his partners, Sarkarski also had a feeling for the relationship between Ziyun and Charlotte Lingling, had a bad premonition, and after the world government knew about this, it also responded quickly, willing to spend part of its resources to help the Navy redeem warring states and others. Hey, are you here already? Ziyun twisted his neck. It's pretty fast. Maybe when we came to Daughter's Island, he planned to pay us the ransom from the beginning, right? Let's go. Since we're here, it's better to complete the deal early and return to the Golden Deer. Ziyun walked out of the palace while talking. Master Ziyun, you are here. At this time, Hancock's excited voice came over. When I woke up, I didn't see you. I was really scared. Hancock came to Ziyun quickly, took Ziyun's hand and put it on his heart. Listen, my heart is still there. Pick and choose. Master Ziyun, I thought you left me. Don't worry, Hancock. Ziyun squeezed the hand held by Hancock. You are such a beautiful person, how could I leave you? I just saw that you were sound asleep, so I got up first, and went to wash my body with Smoothie. Now that you are awake, go wash up too, and then go with me to complete the deal with the Navy. With Smoothie. Hancock looked at Smoothie enviously. In response, the corners of Smoothie's mouth curled up slightly, outlining a smug smile. Okay, don't look at it. Ziyun slightly clenched his hand held by Hancock, and after hearing Hancock's coquettish cry, he continued, you should also pay attention to the influence, at least put on your clothes before going out. There are no other men here. If that's the case, I want Master Ziyun to see more of my beauty. Hancock paused with a flushed face and said. Hearing Hancock's words, Ziyun couldn't help but smile. He broke away from Hancock's hand slightly, and patted Hancock's crotch, feeling the attractive elasticity, and was even more happy to have Hancock. Hurry up, we'll wait for you, Ziyun said softly. Hancock nodded, and quickly ran towards the bathing pool, leaving Ziyun with a snow-white and graceful back. On the outskirts of Daughter Island, a naval warship quietly stayed on the sea under the guard of the Amazon Lily warriors. The Navy on the warship is anxiously waiting for the arrival of Sengoku and others. What's going on? Why is it so slow? Garp, wearing a dog-headed hat, walked back and forth on the warship. I've been waiting for almost 2 hours. Why hasn't that kid Ziyun brought him here yet? Lieutenant General Garp, please calm down. Lieutenant General Momochu has already said that the inspector at the warring states period and the others are not in danger for the time being, and Ziyun hasn't come yet. It's only because Ziyun is doing some relatively private things, and it's inconvenient for her to disturb them. The adjutant in a suit and top hat said. Is there anything more important than getting the ransom? Garp roared loudly. Also, what's up with that Sengoku guy now? Said he was seriously injured. That guy is fine. Lieutenant General, it's useless for you to be so anxious. You'd better wait here quietly, said the adjutant. No, I can't wait any longer. Garp turned around and looked in the direction of Daughter Island. I want to go directly to that guy Ziyun. Wait a minute, Lieutenant General Garp, it's not a matter of provoking them now. The adjutant hurriedly pulled Garp back. If it causes their misunderstanding and unnecessary trouble, That would be bad. Moreover, it may affect the safety of the Warring States Inspector and others. Don't worry, I'm just going to ask. I won't make trouble. Garp waved his hand, and flew directly to Daughter's Island on Moon Steps, where the Amazon female warriors gathered. Page 485. Seeing Garp flying towards him, the female warriors also took out their bows and arrows to aim at Garp. Wait, I don't want to fight with you, I just want to ask you, when will that kid Xian come out? We have been waiting for 2 hours. Garp stepped on the Moon Steps, stayed in the air, and asked the female warriors. Master Xian and the others will come when they are supposed to come. Garp, you should go back and wait honestly. Men are not allowed to step on our island without permission. Belladonna, the protector of Daughter's Island, looked at Garp seriously and said, with Xian and others guarding Daughter's Island, Belladonna is not afraid even if she faces the naval hero Garp. What's more, Penthesilea, who defeated the Warring States alone, was on the side. Why are men not allowed to land on Daughter's Island? Isn't that kid Xian on your island? Cap said. Can you compare with Master Xian? Master Xian is the companion of Master Snake Ji. Of course he can land on this island. Belladonna said. Do you want to land on this island? It's not impossible. Penthesilea's own weapon appeared in his hand. I heard that you are one of the strongest in this world. If you can defeat me, it is not impossible to allow you to go to the island. I believe Master will still listen to my words. Garp looked at the hammer that appeared in Penthesilea's hands, recalled Sakazuki's description of the person who seriously injured Sengoku, and his face instantly became gloomy. Are you that? Penthesilea? He clenched his fist. Lieutenant General Garp, calm down. The adjutant appeared next to Garp, exhorting her. Garp let out a breath. Don't worry, I'm not stupid enough to do it directly. Garp looked at Penthesilea. I'm not here to fight you this time, as long as let me take Sengoku and them, and we will leave. TSK, don't you want to fight? Penthesilea retracted her weapon and said unhappily. Garp, this time it's you. In the distance, Xian's voice came over. Hearing Xian's voice, Garp immediately looked over. Xian was full of smiles, followed by Hancock and Smoothie with red faces, and slowly walked over with the weak Senko and others. Warring States, Crane. Seeing the captured navy appear, as soon as Sengoku stepped into the air, he wanted to rush towards Sengoku and others. Boom. That's not okay, Cap. Xianzi would block Garp's telekinetic shield. You are not allowed to set foot on this island. Let's go to your warship to complete the transaction. Saying that, Xian floated up directly with the Sengoku and other navy, and drifted towards Garp's warship. Garp and his adjutant followed quickly. It's coming. That black-haired admiral is here. Seeing Xian flying past Liar in his direction, the soldiers on the warship roared and became alert. Xian ignored the guns held by the sailors, and landed directly on the center of the warship. Zango and others also stood on the warship. Hurry up, where is the ship doctor? Hurry up and take Zango to treat him. As soon as he arrived on the warship, Crane said to the sailors. What are you still doing in a daze? Hurry up and do what he said. Then Garp, who landed on the warship, roared. The ship's doctor on board gave Xian a slightly apprehensive look, then ran quickly to Zango's side, and led him towards the cabin. On the other side, Xian didn't stop him either. Then, people have already brought it to you. Can you give me my things? Hearing Xian's words, Garp nodded to Hai-Jan who was holding 2 boxes beside him. The Navy also received Garp's instructions immediately. Page 486. When he came to Xian, he put 2 boxes on the deck and opened them. There's nothing wrong with that. After confirming the contents of the box, Xian directly put them into his treasure house. Then, stuff. After the transaction is over, I should leave too. I hope you can learn the lesson from this time. Wait. Where is Totu? Where is she? Seeing that Xian wanted to leave, Garp quickly called Xian to stop. She, in order not to cause unnecessary trouble, stayed on Daughter's Island and didn't come out. Xian turned to look at Garp. I said I was afraid that you would be impulsive and rob someone or something. Why, you don't really intend to do this, do you? Xian, you have gone too far this time. Cap frowned tightly. For me, you are the ones who go too far first. Xian shook his head. Besides, I didn't ask Tota to stay. She took the initiative to stay. Don't say I won't give you a chance. If you can pay me a 1 nature type devil fruit or something like 10 billion berry, I can let her go. I heard from her that she is still your navy candidate. If that's the case, it shouldn't be expensive to exchange her back at such a price. Ha ha. After finishing speaking, Xian ignored Garp and the others, directly cleared the air, and returned to Daughter Island with the sound of sonic boom. Hey, Crane, Momotu is your younger sister. Is it really okay to keep her here like this? Seeing that the Crane did not stop Xian, Garp said loudly. This is Toto's choice, and we have no way to take her away now. Crane stared into Garp's eyes. Garp, are you confident that you can defeat that Xian and that Penthesilea? We are still in a weak state, and no one knows Xian's other partners. Have you come to the vicinity of Daughter Island? You are not sure of defeating them. If that's the case, let's leave here honestly. Sengoku will continue to return to the Navy headquarters for treatment. Also, Didn't Ziyan just give us the conditions to get Tota back? We still have a chance, since even you say so. The janitor clenched his fist and said with a sigh. On the other side, Daughter's Island. Well, it's about time we got out of here. Ziyan looked at Hancock and said, do you have anything else to tell your citizens? No need. Anyway, they will take care of themselves. Hancock hugged Ziyan's arm. I just need to be with Master Ziyan. Well, since you have said so, I won't say anything more. Ziyan helped Fu Hancock's hair, and looked at Smoothie. Since both of you are on my side, I am willing to show you some of my secrets. Let's go. Yesterday I arranged some things in Hancock's palace. I think you are very happy to see. After speaking, Ziyan took Hancock and the other three and flew towards the palace. Master Ziyan, you are back. Seeing Ziyan and the others fall on the ground, Tota hurried over and asked, excuse me, sister, have they already left? Yeah, it's gone. Moreover, I also gave them a condition to redeem you to go back. Maybe you will be able to go back soon. Ziyan smiled and said, however, you still have to go back to the Golden Deer with us for their time being. Master Ziyan is going back to the Golden Deer? When Ziyan said that she would let her go back, Momotu didn't seem very happy. After all, she had already decided to seek the possibility of influencing Ziyan within the Drake Pirates. Certainly. Ziyan casually threw a one pill into Totu's slightly opened mouth. As soon as the pill entered the mouth, it turned into liquid and flowed into Totu's body. You just need to sleep, and you will find yourself on the Golden Deer. Following Ziyan's words, Totu only felt a strong sense of drowsiness rushed into his mind, and Totu, who was still in a weak stage, fell down towards Ziyan without any resistance at all. Ziyan also hurriedly reached out to catch her. Let's go, everyone. Ziyan put his arms on his shoulders, said to the three of Penthesilea, and then took the lead to walk into the depths of the palace. This is page 487. Hancock looked at the magic circle shining with silver-white light in the innermost room of his palace, and asked suspiciously. Ziyan smiled. This is a transfer position that can quickly reach my territory, the Golden Deer, and the Sky Garden of Semirami's Vanity. In the future, if something happens here, we will be able to reach Daughter Island quickly, so that this crisis will not happen. As he said that, Ziyan communicated with the system in his mind, allowing the two of them and the sleeping Tota to use the authority. Hancock and Smoothie also felt something extra in their bodies. Although you can't let Tota know about this, you two still have the right to know. Thank you for your trust, Ziyan. Smoothie said happily that although she decided to give herself to Ziyan, she never expected to gain Ziyan's trust so quickly and tell her such an important secret. What's the matter? Let's talk about it. Back on the Golden Deer. Ziyan smiled, and directly activated the linked site to transfer the position. After a flash of silver-white light, everyone immediately disappeared in Daughter Island and returned to Golden Deer. On the number. Are we coming back? Hancock looked at the surrounding environment and said in surprise. Soon. Ziyan smiled and patted Hancock on the back. Let's go. Everyone is still waiting for us. Here is. Tota slowly opened his eyes after falling into a coma for several hours. What imprinted in front of her eyes was a strange ceiling and a strange room. You're awake. From the side, Ziyan's voice came over. Give. Ziyan got up from the sofa with a glass of water, went to Totu's bed and sat down. Drink. Her sober. Thanks. Totu showed his face slightly, and took the cup handed over by Ziyan. Well, since my sister and the others have already left Daughter's Island, when will we go to their Golden Deer? Tota got up, leaned against the bed and said, We've already arrived at the Golden Deer. Ziyan laughed. Arrive? Totu's eyes widened slightly. Could it be that I was in a coma for a long time before? Ziyan smiled, but did not answer Totu's question. Next, you will stay on the Golden Deer for a while, so I don't need to remind you of your own identity. Ziyan got up. I hope you can be honest and don't cause trouble for me. Ziyan walked towards the door and said, You are living in this room during this time. It is getting late. You should have a good rest, although you have slept for a long time. After finishing speaking, Ziyan closed the door and walked towards his own room. Have you arrived on the Golden Deer? Tao Tuta stood up. If that's the case, I'll cheer myself up. After finishing the work, go back and rest, and use the devil fruit you got this time. By the way. In the corridor, Ziyan thought while walking, 4 devil fruits, 2 companions. I don't know who I can summon this time. It's really exciting. And while Ziyan was walking towards his room expectantly, there was already someone waiting there in his room. It's true what you say, Smoothie. Longwan looked at Smoothie suspiciously and said, Ziyan wants me to serve him with you. You and I are completely different types. As he said that, Longwan also sized up Smoothie's height, which was more than 3 times his own. Yes. Smoothie stood up straight, and put his clothes on the hanger beside him. When Ziyan and I were together, I mentioned you a lot, saying that it was the enjoyment brought by completely two styles. Enjoy something. Hearing Smoothie's words, Tornado's face immediately turned red. Page 488. However, did Ziyan really mention me? Smoothie nodded affirmatively. But, with you or something? Dragon Roll seemed a little hesitant. Of course, if you must leave, I won't stop you. Zheng Hong, I can occupy Master Ziyan by myself. Smoothie laughed. HMPH, I won't let you monopolize it. Tornado glanced at Smoothie, and under the control of his thoughts, the clothes floated directly to the sofa beside him. Since I'm here, I won't leave. However, Fubuki, why are you still here? Longwan glanced slightly at his younger sister who followed him. That. Seeing her sister's serious eyes, Fubuki rubbed her palm, blushing and didn't know what to say. Haha. Smoothie came to Fuxu's back, lowered his body slightly, pulled up the hem of Fuxu's dark green long skirt, and lifted it up vigorously. The long skirt immediately leaving blowing snow. Fubuki, didn't he come with the same purpose as you, Tornado? Smoothie said with a smile. As a sister, I have to share a good man with my sister. How can there be a sister and a younger sister together? Longwan looked at Smoothie slightly dissatisfied, and said, you have so many sisters, do you want them to do this with you? If Lord Ziyan likes it, I can come forward to persuade the sisters. Smoothie sat in a chair with one foot crossed over the other. HMPH, I've heard that your sisters are getting weirder than each other. Even if you want to, Ziyan won't like it. Longwan crossed his arms and said, however, you really want to open it. Don't you feel awkward with your own sister? Not really, and it can also deepen the sisterhood, can't it? Smoothie said with a smile. In this way, through the efforts of the sisters, Master Ziyan can also focus more on our Charlotte family. However, you said Master Ziyan would not be interested in other sisters. I don't think so. At least our Charlotte Garrett is in line with Master Ziyan's aesthetics. I'm sure he will like it. TSK, I really don't understand you. A woman. Tornado said. Longwan, if your sister misses you as much as getting close to Ziyan, will you stop her? Smoothie looked at Fubuki, who looked extra shy because of the dropped coat. I saw it. Her gaze often falls on Ziyan. I suspect that if she hadn't been concerned about your existence, she would have been with Ziyan long ago. Haha, no way. Longwan puffed out his chest. I'm Fubuki's older sister. I know what kind of man she likes. Although Ziyan is excellent, he is not the type that Fuxia likes. Oh, really? Smoothie showed an interested smile. What do you think, Miss Fubuki from hell? That. Fubuki looked at Tornado's gaze, and his face turned redder. Yo, how are you? At this time, Ziyan's voice came from the door. Seeing Ziyan's sudden appearance, Jaxu crouched down covering her chest. Really, Ziyan, why did you come in without knocking? Longwan stood in front of Fuxu, with his hands spread out, blocking Ziyan's view of Fuxu. Page 489. This is my own room. Do you want to knock on the door too? Ziyan walked in with a smile. Smoothie and Beloved cleverly stood up from the chair, came to Ziyan with brisk steps, and began to drag his coat off. Looking at Smoothie's seductive figure at the moment, she didn't stop her, allowing Smoothie to continue her movements. Hey, Smoothie, what are you doing? Why did you take it off? Fubuki is still here. Using telekinetic force, Tornado sucked Fubuki's coat over and handed it to Fubuki. Put on your coat and leave first. That. After taking his coat, facing his sister's urging, Fubuki seemed hesitant. Cool. Longwan took a deep breath, fixed his gaze on Longwan's eyes. Sister, I want to stay. Although very shy, Tornado didn't listen to his sister's words. Fubuki, you. Tornado grows its own mouth. I'm sorry, sister, I don't allow you to be so cunning, behind my back, and like Ziyan alone. Fubuki looked firmly into Tornado's eyes. Summoning or something, I really should come back tomorrow. Ziyan looked at the three people in the room, and the corners of his mouth could not stop rising. It's getting late at night, don't chase Fubuxu away, Tornado. Ziyan walked to the side of Tornado, hugged her and said, everyone, let's rest here tonight. Ziyan, you bastard, you think too well. Longwan stared at Ziyan with wide eyes. I don't agree. Ziyan smiled, and patted her on the back amidst the exclamation of the Tornado. Longjuan, don't you usually like me for that? Haha. You guys are so cunning. The Tornado bit at Ziyan's shoulder. Does it hurt? Hearing Ziyan's voice, Longwan raised his head suspiciously. It doesn't feel good. Ziyan returned. Very comfortable. Tornado, who was held high by Ziyan, tilted his head in doubt. Smoothie on the side pointed down with his finger. Under. Tornado looked down at himself with puzzled eyes. Blowing snow. What are you doing? Seeing below him, where Fubuki was biting, Tornado screamed. At the same time, I also understand why Ziyan said that I feel very good. Squeak, squeak. Well, let's not let people rest. Feeling the sound and vibration, Longwan rubbed his eyes and woke up. Sorry to wake you up, sister. Fubuki sat on the head of the bed combing her hair, looking at the Tornado apologetically. Really, what are you doing so early in the morning? Page 490. Longwan blushed and complained, I didn't rest until late last night, so I don't know how to rest for a while longer. It's all my sister's fault. Fuxu got up slightly and sat down heavily again. It's obviously such a happy thing, but you used to only know that you were looking for Ziyan alone, and you didn't bring me with you. If I hadn't summoned up the courage this time, I don't know how long it will be before I can be with Ziyan. Well, I see. Long Wan stared at Fuxia closely. It's better for you not to force your words, but to do your job. Well, I will take you with me in the future. Sister, you want to continue after I'm done? Fubuki stared at Tornado and said, then that. Tornado turned his head away, avoiding Fuxia's sight. Where did Smoothie go? For her, go to the bathroom and prepare hot water. Fubuki said, she asked me to take Ziyan to wash off the sweat after I finished. Well, Fubuki was talking, when suddenly his whole body tensed up, his toes also tightly grasped the bedsheet, and his body trembled uncontrollably. Cool. Fubuki took a deep breath and stood up slowly. It's my turn. Long Wan shouted excitedly, and wanted to pounce on Ziyan. Ziyan quickly stretched out his hands to grab the tornado. Okay, let's go to the bathroom first. I believe Smoothie has prepared hot water. Ziyan slowly moved his body with Cheksu in his arms, and came to the floor. Ziyan is really, obviously I have been waiting for so long. Tornado complained. Okay. Ziyan walked and said, I'll be with you first. Hee. Looking at the backs of Ziyan and Long Wan, Cheksu smiled and quickly followed their footsteps. After continuing to go crazy in the bathroom for a while, the Smoothie three came out with blushing faces. Aren't you going to the deck, Lord Ziyan? Seeing that Ziyan didn't intend to leave the room with the three of them, Tornado asked, not for the time being. I'm going to call 2 new companions over. Now, that guy Totu is still on their deck, right? And she is from the Navy after all. I don't plan to let her know how the other companions came to the Golden Deer. Ziyan shook his head and said, in this case, we will leave first. Tornado took Fuxia's hand. I think I need to communicate with Fuxia properly. Fubuki, sister. Don't worry, I'm not blaming you. I just want to establish a line with you. Let's discuss skills by the way. After all, I think you are very skilled. Tornado laughed and watched. Fubuki, that. I just read the book before. Hey, that's really interesting. You must tell me about it later. Long Wan said with a smile. Also, we 2 sisters must be united together. We can't compare Muji with her sisters, you know? Fubuki, I know. Let's go. After speaking, Long Wan led Fuxia out of the room, and could still hear the 2 whispering. Along the way, Smoothie smiled and raised his steps, intending to keep up with the pace of the 2. Smoochie, wait a minute. Ziyan stopped Smoothie. Speaking of which, you haven't seen the scene where the new companions arrive. I wonder if you are interested? Of course. Hearing that Ziyan wanted him to watch the arrival of his new companion, Smoothie said pleasantly, but, can I watch? Certainly. Ziyan took Smoothie's hand and led her to the sofa, while he lay down in her arms. For my female companion, I don't recommend that she knows some of my secrets. Page 491. In that case, please let me watch. Smoothie holding hands hold Ziyan's waist and said, however, if you are a new companion, shouldn't you go to a certain place to meet them? Or to, say, go to the linked site on the Golden Deer to transfer to meet them? It's not necessary. I can call them directly in front of me. Ziyan said with a smile. Master Ziyan, there is something I want to ask your opinion on. Just as Ziyan was about to summon, Smoothie said a little coyly. This isn't like you, Smoothie. If you have anything to say, just say it. Ziyan lay down with Smoothie on his pillow, and said with a smile. That is, if I want some of my sisters to board the Golden Deer, I don't know if it is possible. Smoothie said. Hee. That's the kind of thing. Ziyan patted Smoothie's leg. If they are willing to do things for me, I think it's okay. If so, would you like me to serve you like this? Smoothie said, while hugging Ziyan more tightly with both hands. Serve. The looks of Smoothie's wonderful sisters floated in Ziyan's mind, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help twitching. Well, let's forget it. Your sisters are a bit different from mine in terms of aesthetics. Don't worry, Lord Ziyan. With both hands, Smoothie raised Ziyan in front of him, stretched out his head and kept rubbing Ziyan's cheek. There must be someone you like, Master Ziyan. Haha. If there is, and if you want, I can accept it. Ziyan said. It seems that the Charlotte family, besides Smoothie, seems to have other beautiful women. Ziyan thought in his heart. However, Miss Tornado, she doesn't seem to like me calling my sisters over. Also, it seems that Miss Tornado has something against me. What? Smoothie said with some concern. Tornado is just not very good at communicating. She doesn't mean anything malicious. Ziyan said. As for why I don't seem to like you, it's probably because of your height. As an adult woman, Long Wan is so petite, which makes her particularly concerned. Therefore, I will be a little envious of you who are so tall, and my words may be a little too aggressive. The corners of Ziyan's mouth curled up slightly. However, I think her petite appearance is also extraordinarily cute. Compared with ordinary people, my height should be abnormal. Smoothie shook his head, and said worriedly, Master Ziyan, don't you think I look like a giant or a monster? Hearing Smoothie's words, Ziyan turned his head and tapped her face lightly. You, Smoothie, are beautiful. Ziyan stared closely at Smoothie's eyes and said, thank you, Master Ziyan. Feeling the sincerity in Ziyan's eyes, Smoothie said happily. Smoochie, What kind of partner do you think I should call over? Ziyun turned his head and looked at the front and said, my companions are all divided into various professions. The professions they choose are different, and the companions who responded to my coming here are also different. As my partner, you can choose. Hearing Ziyun's words, Smoothie's heart was even more touched, thinking that he was in their pirate group and would be afraid of Charlotte Lingerling's life at any time. Smoothie was even more delighted with his decision. For me, I hope to have a strong fighter who respects you very much, Mr. Ziyun, and is willing to sacrifice everything for you. Smoothie buried his head on Ziyun's back and said. Ziyun nodded. Under such conditions, I really should choose the knight profession. Page 492. Ziyun thought in his heart. System, help me consume 2 devil fruits, and summon a knight professional partner. Ziyun said to the system in his mind. Ding, start calling. Following the words of the system, under Smoothie's astonished gaze, on the open space in front of her and Ziyun, the summoning circle of the pentagram appeared. As for the knight, I don't know if it is the knight of the round table who fought with Leah, or is it another knight? Ziyun thought silently in his heart. The 16th chapter, Diamut Ordina, for subscription. Servant, swordsman, I am Dimdiodia of Fiona Knights. I will serve you as a qualified knight. The summoning light dissipated, and an extremely handsome swordsman with 2 swords, one red and one yellow, appeared in front of Ziyun and Smoothie. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the skill, the martial arts of Dimdiodia. Following the sound of the system, Ziyun's mind kept flashing the figure of Dimdaddy holding a gun and sword fighting and training, and these seemed to be Ziyun's personal experience. Great, this way, swordsmanship. I will complete it with gun skills at the same time. The corners of Ziyun's mouth curled up. In this way, it seems that I can challenge Skyha. Ziyun, who has been trained in spear skills by Skyha and Li Shuwen for a long time, has reached a very high level in spear skills, and this time after receiving Diamud's spear surgery, Ziyun's understanding of spear skills is more profound and much stronger. In this case, whether it's the handheld or the nurse's Skyha, it seems that you can get it. Ziyun thought with a smile. Wait, Dimdadina. That Dimdadina who has mole of love. Ziyun, who came back to his senses, quickly covered Smoothie's eyes, and looked at Dimud with horror on his face. That mole of love would not be effective so quickly. Master Ziyun, what are you? Smoothie, whose eyes were covered, asked suspiciously. Smoochie, don't look at this guy. This guy's mole has the effect of attracting women, which is the effect of women having strong love feelings for him. Ziyun replied quickly. What, such an effect? Smoothie said in surprise. Oh, it seems that this lady is your master's wife. If so, then she is also my mistress. Diamud smiled and said, Master, don't worry, as a swordsman, I can effectively control their mole of love, and it won't let it work. Also, I don't want to make the fight become unfair when I fight with women because of this mole. So, Master, you don't have to worry at all. And even if I use this mole, the powerful lady beside you also has the ability to resist her. Is that so? After Ziyun hesitated for a while, considering Diamud's character, he finally believed Diamud's statement. Okay, let's meet our new partner, Diamud Ordina, a very loyal knight. Ziyun patted Smoothie's arm and said, That, Ziyun, can I watch it? Smoothie closed his eyes and said worriedly, It's okay, I didn't feel the release of magic power from Diamud's mole. Moreover, if he can't control it, he will definitely not use his mole. That's it. Smoothie nodded slightly, opened his eyes and looked at Diamud. Hello, my master's wife, it's an honor to meet you. Seeing Smoothie open his eyes, Diamud saluted slightly and said, In the future, my sword will definitely become the sharpest weapon to protect you and their master. Thank you. But since you want to protect me, this power alone is not enough. Page 493. Ziyun smiled, and communicated in his heart to strengthen Diamud. Oh. This is the power constantly emerging, which makes people tremble uncontrollably. Diamud felt the power emerging from his body and said, It's great, Master. I, Diamud, would like to express my deep gratitude to you, so that I can better protect you. Boom. At this moment, Ziyun's door was suddenly violently pushed open. Ziyun turned his head and saw Mordred walking towards him with an angry expression on his face. Ziyun, you guy, you're not immune to Ru and Ruiyang. Why haven't you come out yet? Everyone is waiting for you to eat. Mordred walked towards Ziyun, and complained, Father is also true. He won't allow dinner until you arrive. Come and stop. Diamud blocked Mordred's way. Although I don't know who you are, but if you want to take action against the master, I, Dimda Audi, will be your opponent. That Diamud, she is not an enemy, she is also my companion. Ziyun stretched out his hand and said, Hey, facing me, Mordred, you dare to draw your own sword? Mordred summoned his armor and the Shining King sword. It looks like you are the guy Zhu Yangxin summoned, a name I've never heard of. Shouldn't be a great hero. In this case, let me teach you the rules on this ship, and the strength of me, Mordred. As he spoke, Mordred held up the brilliant Shining King sword on his head, and thunderbolts shot out from the sword, flowing towards the furniture in Ziyun's room. I'm going. My comics. Seeing Kyle going straight to Ziyun and putting it on the desk, Orang specially gave him their manga. Ziyun rushed over and put away the manga before Kyle arrived. Mordred, Rebel Knight. Diarmuid frowned. It turned out to be such a guy who insulted the knight's honor. If this is their case, I, Diarmuid, must fight you too. Diarmuid raised the treasure in his right hand and pointed at Mordred, soldier who rebelled against the King of Knights. If you still think you are a knight, accept me as the Irish Fiona Knight. The knights of the regiment, Diarmuid's challenge. Let's have a dignified battle between their knights. TSK, why are you talking so much? Isn't it just to fight? Watch me take you down quickly. After Mordred finished speaking, he rushed towards Diarmuid, and the thunderlight on their sword spread to the surroundings even more intensely. Mordred looked down at his waist. Hey, what are you doing, idiot Ziyun? Didn't you see that I was fighting? Let me go, or I will fight you too. Haha. Ziyun raised his head with a dangerous smile. I'm sorry, Diarmuid, for interrupting your battle. But, anyway, don't play in my room. Look what the furniture in my room has become. Hearing Ziyun's words, Diarmuid quickly glanced around, and found that a large number of wooden furniture in the room had become charred black under the influence of Kyle, and white smoke was coming out slowly. And Ziyun's clothes hanging in the room, even intimate clothes like underwear, turned black. Sorry, master, I didn't think carefully. Diarmuid put away his posture. It's just that I can't control myself when I see a guy like Mordred, who has the name of a knight. Forget it. After all, it was Mordred who provoked first. Ziyun looked at Mordred in his arms. It was she who stained my clothes. Although it won't be damaged because of the material, it's still very troublesome if it gets dirty. What, isn't it just some clothes? Why don't you just throw them away? Also, let me go. As he spoke, Mordred also tapped Ziyun's head with his sword hilt. Hee, how dare you do it? Ziyun looked at Mordred with a smile. It seems that it is necessary to let you know the majesty of the elders. What elder? That's just your wishful thinking. I don't take you as an elder. Boom. Not waiting. After Mordred finished speaking, Ziyun directly hugged Mordred, an iron bridge, and smashed her head to the floor forcefully. In order to prevent the floor from being damaged due to excessive force, Ziyun also specially used a telekinetic shield on the place where Mordred's head touched the ground. Mordred, you bastard. Just as Mordred was about to stand up, Ziyun quickly turned over and sat directly on her feet, letting Mordred lie on the ground, while pulling Mordred's arms towards the feet with both hands. Stretch. Well, Mordred cried out in pain. Ziyun, let me go quickly, or I will definitely beat you up even if my father is here. Page 494. Hey, I still have the strength to speak. It seems that more punishment is needed. While Ziyun said with a smile, he increased the strength in his hand. It's useless, Ziyun, it's just a little pain. Do you think I, Mordred, will be afraid? Mordred said. Well, as expected of the child I fancy, he just has patience. Ziyun nodded. It seems that you need to use some special method to make you realize that you can't destroy things in my room at will. Ah. Treasure Phantasm, Between Wings. Ziyun silently recited the names of the treasures he got from Mary and Anne, and with the use of the treasure, streaks of black smoke slowly drifted out from Ziyun's body, and the smoke from Ziyun's body quickly took shape, forming a black figure similar to Ziyun's reminder. Ziyun smiled. The black figure came to Mordred's feet under his control, and slowly took off Mordred's shoes. What do you want, Ziyun? Seeing the movement of the black figure, Mordred suddenly had a bad feeling. Nothing, I just like to know if the mighty rebellious knight Mordred is very tolerant of pain, whether he is an H. This feeling is also very patient. Following Ziyun's words, a quill pen appeared in the black figure's hand at the right time. Exclamation mark. Seeing the quill, Mordred's face suddenly became terrified. The black figure moved faster, and quickly dragged Mordred's shoes away. Then, let's begin. Ziyun laughed. Following Ziyun's words, the black figure suddenly outlined Mordred's bare soles with a quill. Well, Mordred bit his lip hard. Time matters, Mordred, you can enjoy it, Ziyun said. Chapter 17. Chapter, Education of Love. Subscribe. Ha 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 ha. Stop scratching. Ha ha ha. Let me go, Ziyun. After being controlled by Ziyun and being scratched by Ziyun's special quill for a few minutes, Mordred couldn't help but burst out laughing. Although the heroic spirits have extremely strong physiques, ordinary quills cannot achieve this effect. But for the quills strengthened by magic, they can stimulate the sensitivity of the soles of Mordred's feet just right. Therefore, even Mordred couldn't stand it after a long time. That, master, isn't this kind of bad? Diarmuid said with some hesitation. It's okay, it's just a little elder care for the back. Normal operation. Don't worry, sit down, Ziyun said with a smile. Haha, I don't accept elders. Mordred said. I'm the partner of the King of Knights, isn't this your elder? Ziyun said. As he spoke, Ziyun controlled the black figure and accelerated the output of the quill pen. Excuse me, is the King of Knights here? Also, The partner the master mentioned refers to. Diarmuid walked to Smoothie and asked her. Smoothie nodded, and when he was talking, the door of Ziyan's room opened again. Really, Mordred, I didn't call you. Artoria pushed open the door, and watched the scene of Ziyan and Mordred fighting coldly. Really, Mordred, you are making Yan angry again. Artoria walked to Mordred, frowned and said, Mordred, father, that ... ha. Let me tell you. Page 495. Ziyan shook his head and looked at Artoria. Just now Mordred wanted to fight Diarmuid, and released his magic power directly in my room, and as you can see, my room was destroyed by her messed up, so love is being applied to her now. Education, love. That's how it is, so the education of love can still be like this. Artoria nodded earnestly. It seems that such an education can be given to Mordred in their future. What? When Mordred heard Artoria's words, his face instantly became terrified, but the next moment, he laughed again. When the time comes, please let me help, Ziyan said with a smile. I will keep the naughty Mordred in place as I am now. As he said that, Ziyan stretched Mordred's arm deliberately, making her bend like a bow and arrow. Artoria nodded with a smile, then turned to look at Diarmuid. It turns out that you are the chief warrior of the Knights of Fiona in Ireland, for the glorious appearance. Diarmuid Ordina. Hello, I am the King of Knights of Britain, Artoria Pendragon. I am very glad to meet a loyal knight like you. Artoria nodded. I'm also very happy to meet you, the legendary King of Knights. Diarmuid said with a smile. However, I never thought that the legendary King of Knights would be a woman. Are you looking down on women? Artoria frowned. No, you misunderstood. Diarmuid head. It's better to say that I admire the legend you created even more. Moreover, I also understand why the master said you are his partner. I was a little strange just now. I thought the master was him. What? Do you think I like men? Ziyan looked at Diarmuid with a smile. If that's the case, you should be careful of yourself. Handsome Diarmuid. Facing Ziyan's words, Diarmuid rubbed the back of his head in embarrassment. Father, don't talk about it. Let Ziyan stop. Ha. Mordred said with a laugh. If you apologize, Ziyan will naturally let you go. Artoria looked at Mordred with some helplessness. Hurry up and admit your mistake. It's already a little time past mealtime. Saying that, Artoria rubbed her stomach. It was precisely to have a quick meal that she came to Ziyan's room to see why Mordred didn't call Ziyan out for so long. If you're hungry, go eat first. I have made up my mind to develop a good relationship with Mordred today. I think I can play with Mordred like this for a whole day. Ziyan said. Alright then, Ziyan, come out quickly. Artoria hesitated for a moment, but in the end the temptation of food prevailed. Wait, father, save me. Mordred called. Give up. No matter how loud you yell, I won't let you go. Ha. Ziyan laughed and said that, Mordred, you and Ziyan have a good exchange of feelings, and we will leave first. As Artoria said, she called Smoothie and Diarmuid out of the room. Father King, Mordred shouted with his eyes wide open, his face extremely sad. Ha. However, immediately, Mordred's expression changed from dark to sunny. Well, your expression is really interesting. Seeing Mordred's appearance, Ziyan silently took out the video camera from the treasure house of Babylon, and took pictures of Mordred. Page 496. You guy, what do you want to do? Ha. What else can I do? Of course, take a picture of your regular performance. I believe Lancelot will be very happy to see it. Ziyan nodded and smiled, and, when the other knights of the Round Table come over in their future, they will definitely want to see your performance now. Ha. Think about it, the arrogant and rebellious knight Mordred will also behave like this. If they know, their expressions will definitely be quite beautiful. Are you the devil? Mordred's eyes widened. Ha. Don't think about it. How could it be so easy to summon the Knights of the Round Table? I don't believe your luck can be so good. Then try, Ziyan said with a smile. 2 devil fruits appeared beside him. After flickering for a while, the fruit turned into a white light and disappeared from the sight of Ziyan and Mordred. At the same time, the summoning array of the pentagram reappeared in the open space of Ziyan's room. I am a knight. A newcomer summoned for a job. Oh, guess if it's your former colleague who came here, Ziyan said with a smile. No, you really do that. Mordred looked at Ziyan in horror, then turned to the pentagram summoning array. Who'll it be? Tristan, or Agressin? I really look forward to their appearance. Seeing your current appearance, Ziyan said with a smile. And hearing Ziyan's words, Mordred became even more nervous. In the end, the light of the pentagram slowly dissipated, and during these tens of seconds, Mordred only felt that it was the longest moment in his life. However, Mordred couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief when he saw the figure wearing ordinary uniforms and wearing glasses when he was a child in the summoning circle. Fortunately, it's not the Knights of the Round Table, otherwise we will have to kill them in their future. Mordred thought to himself, although, even she herself knew how difficult it was to destroy the mouths of those Knights of the Round Table. Ding! The summoning has been completed. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the skill and treasure. Already far away Ideal City. Exactly. It fills in my shortcomings in defense. Ziyan thought silently in his heart. However, the companion of the summoning knight. Profession: I didn't expect to summon her. She is probably considered a knight. Hello, master, I'm the immature servant Mash Kyrielite. Please give me your advice. To be honest, Mash bowed deeply to Ziyun. Although I am immature, I will definitely try my best to protect you, master, because this is the only thing I am good at. Haha, Ziyun, you failed. It looks like you didn't summon the Knights of the Round Table, Mordred said with a laugh. This time, she really smiled out of joy. Hey, is this really the case? Ziyun raised his head and looked at Matthew. Hey. Matthew, this should not be your fighting state. Can you change out your spiritual outfit? Yes, I will replace it at once, Matthew said quickly, and immediately, a little white light radiated from her body, and her clothes quickly disappeared under the reflection of the white light, and a set of purple clothes showing her abdomen and snow-white legs appeared on her body, and with this clothes the appearance of a huge cross, the shield appeared in her hand. Wait, this shield? Mordred's eyes widened. How about it? Does it look familiar? Ziyun smiled and said, Matthew, can you introduce yourself to this General Mordred among the Knights of the Round Table? Oh, Mordred. Matthew looked in surprise to see if it was Mordred who was laughing loudly, but immediately realized, yes, master. Matthew nodded and looked at Mordred, and said solemnly, hello, Knight Mordred, I am Matthew Kyrielite, a knight who has been awarded one of the Knights of the Round Table, Galahad Servant of Strength. Please teach me a lot in the future. Page 497. Galahad. Mordred stared at Mash with wide eyes, but I really miss that guy. TSK, I didn't expect to meet someone who inherited that guy's power, although it's not Galahad himself. He is someone related to the Knights of the Round Table. I don't know how you feel now, Mordred, Ziyun said with a smile. Damn it, you bastard, Ziyun, and put away your camera quickly. Hearing Ziyun's words, Mordred struggled vigorously again. Master, what are you doing? Matthew asked with some doubts. It's okay, it's just our closeness to each other. Performance, Ziyun said with a smile. Maxu, do you want to join too? Can I join too? Matthew said in surprise. Please let me join. After seeing Ziyun nodding, Matthew quickly replied. Then, treat Mordred's armpits well with this quill. Ziyun smiled and took out 2 quills from the space and handed them to Matthew. Yes, master, I will finish it well. Matthew said. Hey, look at the joke, Ziyun. Mordred yelled. Ziyun smiled, didn't speak, and directly removed Mordred's armor with telekinesis, revealing her interior. After seeing it, Matthew quickly walked to Mordred and squatted down, imitating Ziyun's example, and scratched Mordred's right armpit with 2 quills. Ha ha ha, no more, Ziyun, stop now. Ha ha. Mordred laughed until tears flowed down his cheeks. Well, I didn't hear your apology for what you said. Ziyun laughed. It seems that I still need to summon a knight to help. Maybe, this time, I will be able to summon the Knights of the Round Table. Ha ha. Do you guys still want to summon? Ha ha ha. Mordred said with tears. I was wrong. Stop now. Hee hee. Are you willing to accept the punishment? Ziyun smiled and said. Don't worry, it's not a big punishment. Just help me replace the things you broke, and wash your dirty clothes for me. You can just change these things. Also, you asked me, Mordred, to do the laundry. Did you make a mistake? Ha ha. Mordred laughed and cried. No, if this is the case, the purpose of punishing you will not be achieved. Ziyun shook his head. It looks like you haven't realized your mistake yet. You are still a summoner. Wait for me to do it. Can't I do it? In this case, forgive me this time. Ziyun smiled, stood behind Mordred, and withdrew the black shadow transformed by like wings. Seeing Ziyun get up, Maxu also stopped the movements of his hands. As soon as Mordred, who was lying on the ground, was free, he quickly got up and grabbed Ziyun's collar with both hands. You guy, you really dared to do that just now. Ziyun smiled, took out the camera and shook it in front of Mordred. Damn it, give it to me. Mordred reached out to grab it, but Ziyun put the camera into the treasure house of Babylon. First, as a knight, you must do what you say. Ziyun patted Mordred's arm but was holding her. Otherwise, Leah must feel sorry for you, and I will also put the video in the camera. Show the content to the other Knights of the Round Table. Lancelot is here now. Well, page 498. Hearing Ziyun's words, Mordred hesitated for a while before letting go of his arm. After all, it wasn't long before she reconciled with Artoria. She didn't want to let her father be disappointed with her at this time. Then, I leave this place to you, Mordred. Ziyun took Matthew's arm and walked out the door. You have to clean it up for me. Besides, I'll leave my underwear to you. You bastard, get out of here quickly. Mordred's forehead shot out a well, picked up Ziyun's black underwear and threw it at Ziyun. Ziyun hurriedly pulled Matthew out of the room, and closed the door. Damn it, Ziyun, you bastard, I can't get around you. In the room, Mordred's roar sounded. Master, are we okay like this? Outside the door, Matthew said worriedly. She seems very angry. Although she didn't target Mash, The look in Mordred's eyes just now scared her a bit. It's okay, rebellious knight. It's normal to behave a little fiercely. Ziyan waved his hand and looked at the new partner next to him. That, master, is there something on me? Matthew took a step back and looked up and down at his body. Ziyan smiled, and gave Matthew a thumbs up. As expected of Matthew, wearing is bold. This outfit looks much better than the overalls just now, and it perfectly reflects your beauty. So lucky. Mash quickly covered herself. Master you, it's not like this. This spiritual outfit is fixed. That's why I wear it like this. Okay, don't be shy. I know. Ziyan waved his hand and said, even when facing the clothing style I like, sometimes I feel shy. Master. Marxa blushed and looked at Ziyan. Okay, I won't make fun of you. Ziyan stroked Matthew's pink hair. But, I'm not lying, you really look good like this. Really, master is like this. Matthew's face turned red. System, help me strengthen Matthew. While stroking Matthew's hair, Ziyan communicated with the system in his mind. Ding. Start strengthening. With the beginning of strengthening, in a burst of light, Mash's tight purple clothes began to be covered with dark purple armor, and a knight's sword appeared at his waist. This is my promotion, Mash said in surprise. Great, master, I seem to be more in line with the identity of a heroic spirit. Mash Kyrie Elite, I will definitely use this power in the future to protect you, master. Then please, Mash. Ziyan nodded. The way you look now is much more majestic. However, it's a pity that it's wrapped too tightly. Royal Lord. Mash shyly twisted her body. If the master likes the way before following Matthew's Huiyun, part of the armor on his body dissipated instantly, leaving only their armor on his waist and legs. Well, this style is majestic and cute at the same time. Ziyan nodded. But soon, this part of the armor also dissipated into the air. Is this okay? Matthew said blushing. Mash is cute no matter what. Ziyan patted Matthew's little head. You can dress according to your favorite style. The overalls just now are also fine. As for the armor, you can take it out during battle. In this case, page 499. Matthew paused, and the clothes on his body slowly changed to work clothes. Sure enough, when you're not fighting, you're still relaxed like this. Seeing Matthew's smile, Ziyan took Matthew's hand again. Let's go, Matthew, I'll take you to meet other partners. Here, besides Mordred, we also have King Arthur Artoria, and the Knight of the Lake, Lancelot. I remember that Galahad's father is Lancelot, so your identity will be very interesting, Ziyan said with a smile. Even King Arthur and Lancelot are there. Matthew, who was led forward by Ziyan, covered her cute little mouth. I really want to see them soon. Well, they must be delighted to see you, too. Thinking of Lancelot's possible expression for a while, Ziyan felt very interesting at the moment. Well, master, if possible, can I be called senior? Matthew said. I don't care, but why do you want to call me that? Ziyan said. Because I think I will definitely be able to learn a lot from the master, whether it is in terms of work or life. There must be a lot of things that I can learn from the master. In that case, it's fine, Mash. Well, senior, please teach me more in the future. Matthew showed a cute smile. Honey, you're finally here. Seeing Ziyan and Matthew walking out of the cabin holding hands, Minamoto Reimitsu quickly came to Ziyan with a bowl of soup. This is a nourishing medicinal meal prepared for you. In order to keep it from getting cold, Lai Guang kept it in his arms. Saying that, Lai Guang put the medicinal food that remained in her body temperature into Ziyan's hand. Nourishing energy. Ziyan looked at Lai Guang a little strangely. Lai Guang, you really plan to make this for me? Often. However, Tsunade said that you have been depleting your energy very frequently recently, so it's better to make up for it. Yuan Lai Guang said. Ziyan looked at Tsunade in front of the dining table, and she smiled and compared to Ziyan. Gesture. Forget it, nothing bad will happen anyway. Ziyan shook his head. Drank the medicinal food in a bowl in one gulp. Tasty? Minato Raikou asked expectantly. Ziyan smiled and nodded. Great. Minamoto said happily. Honey, wait a minute, there are still some in the kitchen, I'll get them for you. After speaking, Raiguang quickly ran to the kitchen. And also, Ziyan stared blankly at Yuan Laiguang who ran away. Senior, they are King Arthur and Lancelot. At this time, Matthew pulled herself gently, and pointed her other finger at Artoria who was eating gracefully and quickly, and Lancelot who was sitting beside her. Yeah, let's go, I'll take you to meet them. Ziyan temporarily forgot about Minamoto Reimitsu, and led Mash up to Artoria. Leah, Lancelot, come and meet the one beside me. Ziyan came to the side of the two and said, Hi, dear King Arthur, I am Mash Kyrie Elite, nice to meet you. Mash performed a knight salute to Artoria and said, Hi, little girl, it's a standard knight ceremony, are you a knight too? Page 500. Leah put down the knife and fork in her hand, looked at Matthew and said, I have worked hard to become a qualified knight. Matthew said quickly, it's really a good ambition, cute little girl, I believe that if you work hard, you will definitely be able to achieve it. Lancelot said beside him. Well, I will definitely become a knight who protects my seniors, and I will try my best not to become an unqualified knight like Sir Lancelot. Matthew looked at Lancelot coldly. Forehead. The corners of Lancelot's mouth, who was still smiling, froze instantly. Why is this tone so familiar? While embarrassed, Lancelot said with some doubts. Hearing what Lancelot said, Matthew silently took out her shield and looked at Lancelot silently. Wait, that shield, with that tone of voice and hair covering one eye, you're not. Lancelot instantly stood up and looked at Matthew in horror. Hey, is it a heroic spirit who owns this shield? This is really a surprise, Leah said with a smile. To pay my respects to you, King Arthur, I am the one who inherited Galahad's power, and I will try my best to inherit his noble character, and I will never do something like Lancelot, Matthew said. Lancelot stretched out his hand in embarrassment. That, Matthew, please shut up, Sir Lancelot. Lancelot, no. Since you're someone Galahad trusts, I'm glad to meet you, Matthew. Artoria nodded to Matthew. However, you don't have to do this to Sir Lancelot, he has already deeply repented. Right now, I'm doing my best to assist Ziyun. Let's get along well in the future. Hearing Artoria's words, Matthew turned to look at Ziyun. After seeing Ziyun nodding, Matthew looked at Lancelot wishingly. Since King Arthur and Senior agree that you are here, I won't say anything more, but I am watching over you, Lancelot. King. Hey, this is true. Lancelot shook his head and sat down. Don't mind, Lancelot, Matthew has been influenced by Lahad a lot. That's why it happened. Ziyun patted Lancelot on the shoulder and said, It's because Matthew was influenced by Gad that I sigh, Master. Lancelot shook his head. If Matthew is like this, he must hate me as a father more than Galahad. Well, if you can see him in the future, you should have a good talk with him, Ziyun advised. I didn't expect to see so many knights of the Round Table here. It's my honor, Diarmuid said. If possible, I don't know if I can compete with the great King Arthur and their Knight of the Lake. Yes, I will not refuse the challenge from the noble knight. Archeria said. I'm sorry, Diarmuid, because I'm a berserker, so if I fight, I will lose my rationality, and I can't distinguish the severity of the attack, so I won't fight with you. Lancelot. Sorry to say, Diarmuid, that's a pity. If you want to compete, you can also find Miss Miyamoto Musashi over there who has been drinking. You are also both swordsmen, and you should be able to learn something from each other. Moreover, she is still the world's #1 swordsman in this world, Ziyun said. Hey, that's really exciting, Diarmuid just said with interest. Yun, what's the matter? Why do you keep staring at me? Do you want to drink with me? Musashi raised his wine jug with a reddish face and said, If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this. And join my Patreon if you want to support me, where you can find advanced audiobooks that hasn't been uploaded on YouTube till now. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.